Boy, oh boy, oh boy, are you in for a show. You tuned yourself to the right YouTube channel tonight. Jake Sanson and Tom Parker with you for the Grand Prix Virtual World Championship Season 2021 Super League. And it's from the Buddh International Circuit in India, the first time we've raced here in 8 years. In the broadcast direction suite, it is Argo Teder. We'll be keeping you up to date with everything that goes on as the race happens. Tom, first 3 races, 3 different winners. My goodness, are we in for a show tonight?
Well, yeah, but can it top China? I mean, China, we said before, didn't we? One of the best races we've ever watched in Super League history. And with a brand new winner in Stefan Ruel as well. So, like I said, 3 out of 3. Can we get a 4th out of 4? Adam Mcgorgey looking very quick in the pre-qualifying practice over 22-1. So, yeah, this is going to be exciting. There's going to be lots of overtaking on that big back straight as well. Yeah, this is going to be another good one, hopefully.
And, of course, we've got a sensational title battle developing and brewing after just 3 races. It's already coming exceptionally close in the title battle. You've got Adam Mcgorgey and Fabrizio Gobbi tied for the lead of the title fight on 40 points apiece, even despite the fact that Adam Mcgorgey missed the first round of the championship in Australia. 2 second places and a fastest lap have given him absolutely everything he needs to get back into this title fight. And that miss of the first race is already negated. Fabrizio Gobbi tied with him on 40 points. Stefan Ruel, the winner last time out in China, is on 39. Yannick Bock, the winner in Bahrain, is on 38. 2 points, 4 drivers. This title fight is absolutely alive and kicking. And you've got the likes of David Frydock and Leon Bock, who have scored well in the first 3 races on 30 points apiece. Liam Duval, the winner in Australia, is on 29, as is Colin Spork. Janet Simoncic and Wright Kilk and Matthias Muss are all heavily clustered in together there as well. So there are so many different dynamics in this title fight. In the Teams Championship in Super League, it couldn't be any closer than it is already. You've got a sizzling battle with 2 teams, Adonis Engineering and Evolution Motorsport, separated by just a single solitary point after 3 races and only 1 win apiece, because Holland Racing Team are starting to climb up the ladder, 3 points back from GSR by VBM. So this is definitely getting into fever pitch time. And of course, as we always speak about at this time in the season, the merry-go-round of musical chairs in Super League continues. And it looks as though we have the welcome return, Tom Parker, of Jeff Fournier.
Yeah, so Jeff Fournier, obviously of Epic Racing lore, as obviously won his first race, won Epic Racing's first race in Super League back in 2018 in Australia with a stirring little drive against Liam Duval, of all people. Yeah, as far as I know, and obviously I think David Young will confirm it as time goes on, but I'm pretty sure he's in the seat for the season now as well, replacing Alpius. So welcome return to Jeff, obviously race winner, very, very quick driver in his own right. So good to see if Scuderia Brasilia can put the horror start, well, not a horror start, but it's a slow start that they would have liked for the season behind them. But yeah, a very, very good pickup for him alongside Jemana Zappa, also a race winner. So that'll be 2 race winners in the seats there at Scuderia Brasilia. Hopefully be able to push them a bit further forward.
And it's going to be intriguing because obviously Fournier will want to get straight back up to the front and really push himself. He's not the only one who's new in this weekend, because we've got 2 big names from the lower division. Owen Mcgorgey, title fighter in Super Cup, he's in the car tonight for Cenobite. And Thomas Harvey, who took a very impressive result 2 nights ago in Super League Lights, he's in at Red Archer.
Yep. So Tom Harvey, pole position in Super League Lights here just 2 days ago with a 22.4, and then got a podium as well, 3rd place in the end for him there. And yeah, like I said, Owen Mcgorgey as well, Super Cup Championship contender at this time, which is very exciting to see these young boys coming up through the field. We've also got George Whitehouse in at Mayor Downard as well tonight in place of Pascal for tonight only. So lots of new names, lots of young blood coming through the field. All karting drivers, I believe, in real life as well. So yeah, it's really, really exciting to see them all come through, and hopefully they're able to do a good job today.
Now, obviously, we need to go back a little bit to what we can hope to expect today. We were talking strategy just before the start of qualifying, Tom, and you intimated that it's likely to be a 2-stop strategy, but it will be a little bit different to what we saw in Super League Lights 2 nights ago. They were running a 2-stop strategy towards soft, medium, soft, but because of the longer duration of the race tonight, 60 laps, it might be a little bit difficult to bring that much life out of the tyres.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a heavy circuit on tyres wear as well. Obviously, we'll go through the circuit as we go. So Adam Mcgorgey actually loses it on his... Oh, that's a big old crash on his first lap in the session. Yeah, he's lost his front wing and rear wing in the middle sector. That's what I was just glad to say. This track is so high on tyre wear that a free stop is conceivable. I could see a free stop happening, but you'd have to do... I mean, that's a lot of time in the pits. But at two-stop and Super League lights, I know, was it Opportuni? No, Kintai, sorry. He was second place in Super League lights with a soft, medium, soft, but he had to stretch the tyres a lot to do that. And considering Super League lights has got a less duration than Super League, I would be very impressed to see a two-stop, soft, medium, soft. But soft, medium could be the order of the day for the guys who finished in the top 10, but which is currently headed by none other than Geoffrey Fournier.
Excited to see how he gets on, because obviously he's not been racing in the category this year. There is the damage to Adam Maguire's Adonis. It looks like a Formula Ford machine as he comes back into the pits. No rear wing, no front wing at all. So that's obviously a big compromise to his start to the season. Here's Maciej Monek, gets a decent banker lap out of the blocks there. 13th position for him, a 1:22.994. That's good out of the blocks. Fastest at the moment, though, Stefan Rualt, who really seems to have hit a sweet spot in the early part of the season. A 1:22.353 for him, 0.1 of a second quicker than Matthias Mus, with Jeff Fournier and George Whitehouse right up at the sharp end so far.
Yeah, Stefan's really hit a rich vein of form, hasn't he? I mean, we were saying before we come on air, like I said on broadcast last time, if you asked Stefan he was going to win, he'd laughed at your last race. And he said to me he would have been laughing. And yeah, now look at him again, he's top. I mean, you haven't got some of the big names haven't really put their mark down. Obviously, Adam Maguire, Liam Duval, not yet done a lap. But yeah, looking good for the Holland racing team. We'll have to see where his teammate Lauren Kismaker is currently in 10th at the moment. So looking pretty good there as well. Another driver who did well last time out, David Frydock, in 11th at the moment. Obviously, his first podium since 2018, I think his last podium was. So looking very good at the moment. I was talking to Lee Davidson just before the broadcast started as well. And he said, Dave's hoping for a good qualifying. His race pace is looking good again. Flo's having a couple of issues, so he's hopefully he's going to be working a bit higher up the field than he can. But we'll have to see how they get on. But yeah, very exciting, very exciting. Can't wait to see who gets pole in the air. Like I said, 60 laps tonight, so a long time to get ready for a big race ahead of us.
Colin Spork across the line to start his flying lap for the Air G Sports team. Rualt and Mus both now pit lane bound. Fournier, Whitehouse, Gobby and Yannick Bock currently setting laps out on the circuit. Tough to know when the big guns are going to make their first appearance on the circuit, but now I think it's fair to call Stefan Rualt one of those now, of course, after his incredible performance last time out in China. So there's a lot still to come from this season, as we know. Thomas Vach, Giuseppe Ragusa and Eros Mashuli all out setting laps as well. Liam Duval still to set his first major flying lap, and Adam Maguire, of course, definitely one to watch. How he has been able to get himself into the joint lead of the championship despite missing the season opener. That is quite an astonishing feat. It shows his level of consistency, and that's what's going to make him a defending champion on the title assault again in 2021, because there's been 3 different winners from 3 races thus far, and to see that he is already fighting for the title out of the blocks, essentially the championship battle begins for him, because it's as if the title hasn't even started really for Maguire, because he's back on the front, essentially leading the championship joint after 3 races. There's still 13 to go. Everybody at the front end is almost square, so it's almost like day one at the office with a lot of testing time.
Yeah, absolutely, and you need to basically, like you say, he's very consistent. He needs to keep that up. Obviously, of the front runners so far, him and Gobby have been the most consistent. Obviously, Gobby having, by his standards, a bit of a slower time out last time by. He only did a, oh, it's Adam Maguire, there we go. Look, hello everybody, I'm back, 22-1. Straight onto pole position as it stands, 2 tenths to clear Ruart. But yeah, like I said, he's been the most consistent so far and at the highest level. So that's why he's in the championship. Obviously, his average race finish this year is second, having finished second twice. And look, there we are, his teammate, 22-2. Adonis have brought something to the table, and they're looking to take that lead from Evolution and extend it further and further, just like last season.
That didn't take long, did it? That's absolutely phenomenal. So an astonishing display from our competitors there from the Adonis team to come straight out of the blocks. First flying lap, and boom, as Tom pointed out, Maguire a 1:22.17, Liam Duval a 1:22.21. Absolutely phenomenal speed, fresh out of the blocks, but there's still plenty to come. Fabrizio Gobby, purple on the first sector, according to the timing screen in front of me. 22.9 in the middle sector, so this will be an improvement. Jeff Fournier going well in the first sector as well. Here is Gobby across the line, and it's only good enough for 8th at the moment, but now across the line he's 3rd, so he displaces Stefan Rualt. And that's enough to put him further up the order. So good news from Fabrizio Gobby. And that's exactly what he wanted from his first major flying lap. So it's a good starting point. There's obviously a lot more to come. but he's got plenty to be quite happy with in the opening phase of things. So good lap there from Gobby. But obviously, this is just the starting point, essentially, from his point of view. I have a feeling there's a lot more to come. Here's Thomas Harvey. He was very strong in Super League Lights 2 nights ago. Let's see what sort of pace he can get. 6th, fresh out of the blocks. This is the kind of result that Red Archer could really do with as well. So this is a phenomenal amount of timing to bring him in at this point and to showcase his skills early on.
Yeah, Tom obviously knows his stuff as Stefan Royal comes over the line, doesn't actually improve on his time, stays on the 22.3. But yeah, Tom, I engineered Tom in Super League Lights, and yeah, he was phenomenal on Tuesday night. He was brilliant. He was pole position and led the first phase of the race very nicely until Michael Ayres came through and took the win away. And then obviously, like I said, Kintai took the second place from him towards the end. But yeah, Tom knows his stuff and looking very, very good already at the moment. So I wonder where Mr. Kilk is. I wonder why Kilk's not racing tonight. Obviously, right, Kilk has been that always the ever consistent man. He finished 4th last time out in China as well. So odd that Kilk hasn't been able to make it today. Let's see if I can find out why he wasn't here. But yeah, a good replacement in Harvey, and hopefully he can see. We'll see what he can do. I think might actually be his Super League debut as well. So excited to see the young man in the Red Archer and to see what he can do tonight.
I'm fairly sure it is his debut. You're right. He's one of the youngest in GPVWC. Kart racer in real life as well, competing in the Daniel Ricciardo series, and before that, Birolite UK, as it was known. And very, very strong in the world of sim racing these days in GPVWC. Here is Dan Stepkowski, or RSR. This is such a tricky part of the course, this, isn't it? Where corner after corner just throws you into each apex, and you really have to get a solid rhythm. Very similar to that of the Circuit of the Americas, where you literally have to nail each apex, otherwise the following 3 corners are going to be an absolute whitewash. Stepkowski very fast thus far as it comes across the line. This is going to be a big improvement. 18th, not bad at all for the RSR driver. That's definitely going to give him bags of confidence for the rest of the session. As Adam Maguire and Liam Duval currently top the times, with Gobby ahead of Yannick Bock now, who's come up to 4th position. Here's Colin Spork, still looking for that ultimate first fast lap. Out of the blocks, faster than he has gone before. It's a 36.362. Now that compares favourably with the drivers up in the top 5, who are currently on 36.5s and 36.6s. So this is a very quick lap from Colin Spork. And let's be fair, after the last couple of races, he was strong in Australia, but in Bahrain and China, he really struggled, Tom. Oh, just getting it a little bit wrong on the apex there as he gets it very wide indeed. Now that could cost him the lap, couldn't it? Because obviously if he makes a gain as a result of that, there's no way that's not going to be track limits.
Yeah, and the track limits, in fact, yeah, look at that. He hasn't actually managed to set a time. So, yeah, track limits, obviously. Track limits, he has set 6 laps in this session along with everyone else. So that's 3 laps now that he's potentially done that have been over track limits. And we saw a few of it in, we've seen it all throughout the career ladders. Some drivers have, well, quite simply the game polices it now. And if you're off, you're off. And it's been very successful this so far this season. And, I haven't seen any. We're the only person I know that's had a penalty in the career in the race for the drive-through was me, because I was an idiot. But yeah, like there is a very good chance you might see a penalty today through track limits, because it's easy to do here, very, very easy to do here in the middle sector, just to go over the white line a little bit, as Colin did there as well. And yeah, lose your lap, and if you lose so many laps, you get a penalty, and it's non-negotiable. If you've been cutting that many times and the game thinks, well, it's time for a penalty, and yeah, tough, you've got to serve it. And obviously, that's catching people out in qualifying as well. You lose your time. Done as Adam Maguire sets 22.0.
Yes, indeed. I was just going to say he's set an improvement on his time, and Leon Bock has just been flirting with the limits twice on this fast lap, and he's really going to struggle to get inside the top 10 if he's continuing to make little moments like that. Liam Duval's shot up into 2nd place. A good run from him with a 1:22.213, as we know, of course. Eros Mashuli has leapt up as well. He's in a P6 now, as Leon Bock goes 7th fastest. So clearly that lap is okay. Yannick Bock in 4th position. So Yannick is the one we're watching out on circuit. Faster than he has gone before in the first sector, a 36.370. And then a 22.779. So this could be a lap potentially to fight for the front row of the grid. He could pop up with a 1:22.2 here, possibly even a 1:22.1 if he gets a perfect final sector. This is going to be a strong one. 2nd place, look at that. A 1:22.044 was the time to beat, and he's done a 0.89. There's nothing in it there for Yannick Bock. Very good lap indeed to put him 2nd.
Yeah, 22.089, just half a tenth, under half a tenth away from Adam Maguire. Obviously, these 2 championship protagonists last time out in 2020. And Yannick had a strong race too, didn't he? But it was a bit anonymous in the in China and in Australia. So we're interested to see where he can, if he can bring that level of, well, that level back up in for race 4, obviously this season. I'd say arguably his brother's actually probably been a bit more consistent this season, Leon, in the other Evolution car. So hopefully Yannick can bring it back up to the top places today. And I've just found out why Wright isn't here today. Unfortunately, he wasn't feeling too well yesterday. So he's not feeling 100%, but hopefully he'll be back for the next time out. So obviously the team decided to put Tom in for today. But yeah, get well soon, Mr. Kilk.
Yes, indeed. Very unfortunate that the drivers have to miss a race for any reason at all, but even in the world of sim racing, if you're not feeling 100%, you're not going to get the best out of the car. So a decision there, a team decision. He obviously wasn't feeling too strong. Owen Mcgorgey, he is a name that you're going to be hearing a lot of in 2021. In Super Cup, he is one of the drivers fighting for the title, and he's here at Cenobite, putting himself through his paces. A 1:22.044 is the time to beat. His time currently that he is sitting on is a 1:22.917. So let's see what he can get out of this final corner. He is faster than he has been before in the first two splits. 36.5 and a 22.7 across the line. He's currently in 18th. Can he get himself into the top 10? Yes, he can. Look at that. A 5th position lap from Owen Mcgorgey. That is a fabulous run. And a 1:22.307, showing his confidence in the car and the circuit bolted together. Absolutely superb.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's not leading Super Cup for nothing, is he? In that Cenobite car as well. That'll be a big sigh of relief for Liam, for Liam Duval, team manager, who's been struggling to get the 2 cars in that Cenobite this season. I think, in fact, Owen's the only one today. So a good driver he's found nonetheless. And if he can keep it in the top 5, that'd be a cracking result for the young man.
So Florian Gaia comes into the pits, another man struggling for pace in the Epic Racing car, and he's not going to get out of 22nd place now. That's the best he can hope for. 30 seconds to go. Liam Duval on his outlap. He should just go into another flying lap in time. So this could be an interesting steal from Liam Duval. Look, he slows right up. He wants to get a decent position, and nailing this final corner is absolutely integral to getting a fast lap, because you start it in the best possible way. Now he's going for it. Plenty of impetus and plenty of full commitment. And with 10 seconds to spare, he crosses the line to start the final flying lap he's going to get from this session. Yannick Bock can only get second. That's the best he can hope for. Lauren Kiersmakers and Jeff Fournier also in the pits, as are Germano Zappala, Michael Francesconi, Thomas Vack, and Florian Gaia. So you're not going to see any more laps from them. Colin Spork still needs to set a clean lap. He hasn't set a clean lap in this session yet, and he's on a 36.4 for the first sector so far. Checkered flag is out. Stefan Rualt is going faster than he has gone before on a 36.4. That is up there to be good enough potentially for third on the grid if he can hold it together. This is a really good run from Rualt. But what about Colin Spork? He needs this lap to be clean, or he's going to start from the back of the grid at best.
Thomas Harvey jumps up to 6th, with a 22.349 as well. I think Colin may finally got a lap.
6th place, look at that!
Place.
For you!
Just goes to show what you can do when you set a clean lap. But yeah, good stuff from me.
Rualt stole a pole! Rualt stole a pole position! Look at that, a 1:21.9 from Stefan Rualt. Brilliant final lap.
What on earth have you been holding that? Mr. Maguire is coming around the final corner now. Can Adam deny him of that pole position as he goes over? I can't believe Stefan. I don't know if you found this time, young man. Here we go, Adam. What are you going to do? Can you respond? Owen, the boy, can he? Up into pole position. But now Liam's going to be... Oh, no, Liam's decided to back out of his lap. So, yeah, Adam Maguire takes it back.
Well, there you go. Adam Maguire take it back. I thought he'd run a little bit wide as it happens in the penultimate corner, but it seems to be okay. And Adam Maguire, obviously it wasn't track limits, otherwise the lap would have been taken away from him pretty instantly. So Maguire is okay. And Stefan Rualt in second place ahead of Bock, Duval, Gobby and Leineck. That is an incredible battle for the pole position there. And once again, half a second covers the top 7, and a full second covers 20 of them out of the 27 that started. Maciej Leineck and Colin Spork saved their bacon at the end there to get both cars in the top 4 rows. So very good work indeed from them. Colin Spork, he really left it to the last minute to get into the top 10 there, didn't he? Just one lap counted in the end. There's Giuseppe Lino of the Ghost Speed ADG car just finishing off. But Adam Maguire so nearly lost that pole position courtesy of Stefan Rualt. But he was not going to leave anything on the table in his final qualifying lap. A fascinating qualifying session and proof that yet again it's going to be close. Adam Maguire from Stefan Rualt. Yannick Bock in third from Liam Duval. Fabrizio Gobby is P5 ahead of Maciej Leineck. Owen Mcgorgey and Colin Spork from Thomas Harvey and Leon Bock in the top 10. 11th on the starting grid, Janic Simicic it will be from Giuseppe Ragusa and Lauren Kiersmakers. Eros Mashuli and Matthias Mus way down in 15th in the end. Jeff Fournier, welcome back in 16th. David Frydock in 17th place from George Whitehouse. Then Germano Zappallo and Daniel Stepkowski. Michael Francesconi is 21st on the starting grid in front of Thomas Vac. Florian Gaia, back to reality. 23rd ahead of Giuseppe Saracino. Then Federico Russo, Giuseppe Lino and Robin Pansard. The gap between the entirety of the field, 1.952 seconds. It's going to be a cracking night at the races tonight.
It is, and we've got 3 of the top 4 in the championship starting first, second, and third. So they're all really keen for this, aren't they? All looking really good. And obviously, Liam Duval, obviously winner in Australia as well in 4th. So Adonis have looking really, really strong for this for the start of this race. And obviously, Mr. HRT himself at the moment, Stefan Ruel, has got his teammate down in 13th, and then Yannick's got his teammate down in 10th. So Adonis can really start to put a squeeze on these 2 up front. But Gobby as well, look at that. I mean, I say you got 3 of the top 4 in the top 3. You've got 4 of the top 4 in the top 5. So yeah, these guys really are the form people at the moment, and excited to see how this one plays out. I've been talking to Mr. Kilk, actually, funnily enough, and he says that actually a 3-stop's probably going to be more likely tonight rather than the 2. So not quite sure which way we'll go on the tyres for that. Maybe we'll see 2 soft stints, or maybe even 3 mediums. But very, very exciting stuff as we now drivers get used to their cars on heavy fuel loads again as we start the warm-up.
And of course, in the warm-up, not only will they be getting used to what the cars will be doing on full fuel loads, but they'll also be doing those final starts practice so that they can get a little bit of a handle on everything that's coming. Obviously, it's been a busy 2021 campaign thus far. 3 races gone: Australia, Bahrain, and China. And of course, we're also going to give you a little bit of detail as to how things have gone. So let's show you how the calendar has looked over the 2021 season thus far. We've had 3 different winners from the first 3 races: Liam Duval in Australia, Yannick Bock in Bahrain, and Stefan Ruart 2 weeks ago in China. Here we are in India for the 4th round of the championship, and then we take in a very exciting and compact calendar. Baku, Spielberg, Montreal, and Silverstone will bring us to the halfway point in the season. And then, of course, we'll have Hockenheim, Magny-Cours, Spa, and Monza. It's like the good old days of Grand Prix racing. Then Singapore on the Marina Bay Street Circuit, Suzuka, Austin, and the season finale on the 21st of October in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And I'm fairly sure, Tom, that there are going to be many twists and turns in the calendar and too many battles to keep up with over the course of that time.
Yeah, not only that, also we'll have the car upgrades coming into force very, very soon as well, as I understand it. So we've got that to look forward to as well before this season is over. So you never know, you may see someone like HRT suddenly come to the fore a bit more because their car's starting to get a bit better. So very, very exciting to 2021 coming up. And if it's as good as the first 3 races have been, it's going to be very, very good fun to watch for the rest of the year.
So the drivers are now obviously going to get the final bits of preparation. It's a tough circuit, this, 5.125 kilometers. It's an interesting balance of a circuit, this one as well. It hasn't been seen in the Grand Prix Virtual World Championship since 2013, which is, of course, the last time it was used for Grand Prix racing. So this is a bit of a knife edge for the drivers in terms of what they can get out of the car. But obviously, some of them have a little bit of an advantage coming into this one, having already raced in Super Cup and Super League Lights to come into this one. But the close nature and the exciting battles within this category make it incredibly dynamic. This is going to be such a tough fight as they head to the grid.
Yeah, it's very much. Do you know what? I'll compare it a little bit to Monaco. Not obviously for the walls and all that, but in terms of like, if you get into a flow round here, you really find a lot of time. And that middle sector is so crucial. It's a lot of high-speed corners that go into very tight chicanes, then go back into another high-speed corner, they go back into a tight chicane, and it's very hard to get a lap right, if you know what I mean. Like, it's quite easy to drive, I would say, but to get that 100% lap really takes something quite special. And obviously Adam Maguire did it there perfectly in there tonight in pole position. But it is a very, very tricky circuit, quite high on tyre wear, as we already alluded to earlier on in the broadcast. So going to be a lot of different strategies playing out today, see where we can go with that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these drivers, in terms of open wheeler racing, in Formula racing, this probably will be their first ever time racing it. I know it was my first time racing it when I raced it in Formula Challenge. And for some of these young lads, they never wouldn't have even seen the race. I probably wouldn't even remember seeing a race on F1 on TV. So a new horizon, as it were. These guys seem to have got it nailed down pretty nicely so far. And yeah, just hope they have some good overtaking. Obviously, you've got a big, long straight That'll definitely aid in the overtaking. Got DRS zone obviously down there as well, so we should expect to see some overtaking there. But what it will be interesting is to see which way people have gone on setup. So you've got, I know in Formula Challenge I had quite a low wing, and no one could get past one straight. It was quite funny really. I had about 20 people behind me trying to get past me, but yeah, like that thing may happen again. If you see someone go for a lower wings setting here, you may see him struggle to get past someone in the straight line. It's not easy to overtake in this middle sector. It's all very one-way system. So going to be interesting to see if anyone goes a bit lower on the wing to try and maybe get the overtake, just like Stefan Rual did in China. We saw that Adam gone too high on the wings and he couldn't get past. So we'll have to see if anyone does that decision again today.
And that's a good point actually that you bring up, because this circuit, it does lend itself to overtaking in theory, but it's a very interesting dynamic, this one, because it also lends itself more to mistakes. It's a very tough circuit to get right, as you mentioned, and in the more tricky and technical parts of the course where there's a lot of ebb and flow, if you get out of the rhythm for just one apex in that twisty second sector of the lap, it could be so damaging to the rest of your rhythm and, you know, the mentality for the lap. It's so difficult to get right, especially if there's even just the slightest blip, the slightest lapse in concentration. It really can mess up the entire race. If you get, we saw it didn't we, last week, we saw in the Super Cup several drivers going to pieces over moves that looked like they were absolutely dead set and nailed to the mast. It can be very, very easy to lose a race here.
Oh yeah, very much so. Sorry. Yeah. So like I said, there's tight chicanes. If you mess one up, if you mess the first one up, that's your entire sector 2 and lap done. Because you cut the tracks, that's a cut warning straight away. You lose about a second of the lap, and in place you lose some spaces as well. Because I know I overtook a couple of people in that first little chicane after the double left because people made mistakes. I was overtaking that because people made mistakes, and on the exit of that fast chicane as well, before you go into the double right-hander. If you get that wrong and you go off, and we saw Adam Mcgorgey did it in qualifying. He went off and lost both his wings. Saw it in Super League lights. I've seen it in Super Cup. I've seen it in Formula Challenge. And like I said, you get one bit wrong, and the walls aren't far away here. They really aren't. So a mistake can be a very, very costly thing here. And like I said, even just one little wheel off will ruin. And it's not even a case of bite. It will ruin your race. And we saw plenty of drivers in real life get stuck here as well. So. A tricky circuit. It's going to show the men from the boys, I think, and obviously keeping your concentration high isn't easy, but I think it's definitely going to be needed, especially when the tyres start to get a bit warm towards into that first stint. The fuel's still pretty high. You're still racing. You might be racing hard in up the front pack, and like I said, if someone makes an error and they go off, you can just wave bye-bye to your win. I mean, perfect example for me, I think, for Super League lights. Luke Maguire was looking really, really good, and he made a mistake in that middle section, lost his wings. So I think he managed to fight back to 10th, but it ruined his race. He was on for a podium, I would say. He was in about for that battle for the lead with Tom Alessandro and Michael. So it's key. You need to stay concentration. Your concentration needs to stay high. Not make any mistakes. I hope the engineers help out if you're getting lapped or if you're lapping people, finding out where you're going to be passing people. If you want to try and avoid that middle Mickey Mouse section. And yeah, you just got to keep clean. Keep clean. That's the main mantra from this one.
And it's so hard to do that, just the slightest inch offline, and it will punish drivers. Colin Spork, currently the fastest in the warm-up, which obviously gives you a little bit of a sense of frustration from Colin that there could have been a little bit more still in reserve for him in qualifying. He just wasn't able to get a clean lap together. And that's the interesting factor in 2021 with this track limits policy, which is actually determined by R Factor 2 itself. It's not something that's statutory. It's not judged by the race officials. It's now determined by R Factor 2. If it's not good according to the workings of the simulation itself, then it deletes your lap. And of course, we've also got this interesting dynamic as well that everybody has to submit their Motex data at the end of the races so that everybody is said to be correct. What it's given us, though, both of those factors new for the 2021 season, as well as the single driver qualifying, because we saw lots of drivers out on track, but they all have their own individual racetrack. They're not allowed, they can't get a tow from anybody. They're just out on track together, setting simultaneous lap times, which is a fabulous new system. We saw it's still congested in the Super Cup qualifying a week ago. But here in Super League, it's all about just the driver on the limit, on the pace, at the edge. And that's exactly what it should be, to see who actually gets the position on the grid. It's not down to tactics, it's down to just pure ability. And what that's given us so far, Tom, is 3 very different races with 3 very different winners. Exactly what you want at the start of a championship as close as this one.
Well, yeah, and at the end of the day, like I said, there's no silly tactics involved. There's no 3 or 4 teams working together to get a slipstream like we saw last year. It is mano a mano. Who's the best? Who can produce the best lap when it counts? And obviously, Adam, we know, has done it time and time again, but he's proved again today that he can do it. And someone like Stefan Ruel, maybe someone who's probably benefited from something like this. He's now looking really, really strong this season. Is it because he's getting these good qualifyings in because he doesn't have to muck around with slipstreams or anything? And I think it's brought another level to the league. Like I said, we've had 3 brilliant races so far. I'm expecting to see a 4th. And yeah, is it because we've had better qualifying? I don't think so. I know someone like David Frydock, he said that he struggles with qualifying at times, but because he's now having to do it on his own, he's now not having to worry about other people. If he can produce that 1 lap, that's brilliant. He's now better races, and he looked last time out in China, he finished 3rd. He was within a good chance of winning at one point as well, wasn't he? So yeah, having this private qualifying, I think, has stepped it up personally, and yeah, it's just producing more exciting. That's what we want. We want more exciting racing. I know the drivers have been enjoying it as well. So yeah, long may it rain.
Absolutely. We're really excited about what this will give us here in India for the Buddh International Circuit. And it's going to be a really exciting battle for all of the competitors now as they get ready for another exciting challenge. The warm-up session has come to a stop, so in just a couple of minutes' time, we will be going live to the track as the drivers get ready for action. The 4th different race of the season. Are we set for a 4th different winner, Tom? That is a big question when you've got, as you mentioned before, 3 of the 4 title battles in the top 4 places on the grid.
And one of the 2 of those top 4 haven't won a race yet. Adam Mcgorgey and Fabrizio Gobbi. And I think Adam will want to prove that he can still win races, and still well and good being consistent, but you want to be able to take the glory, don't you? Everyone wants to win, don't they? So I'm sure he is going to be going for the win today, and he is actually going to be my pick. I think Adam will win today. I don't know if he'll be comfortably, but I do think he's finally going to take that first win of the season, meaning we will have 4 out of 4.
That's a very exciting prospect. Jake Sanson and Tom Parker in the commentary box for you. Our broadcast director in the suite is Argo Teder, and you join us for the Grand Prix Virtual World Championship Super League 2021, Round 4 from the Buddh International Circuit. Just outside Uttar Pradesh in India, just outside Delhi. An absolutely fabulous race. 60 laps of this 5.125 kilometer circuit. And boy, are you in for some spellbinding action if all of the other categories, Formula Challenge, Super Cup, and Super League Lights, are anything to go by. This will definitely be a sizzling show. And it's absolutely sensational to see how we are at this point. Round 4, and there's 4 drivers separated by 2 points in the drivers' standings. An absolutely incredible situation. Adam Mcgorgey and Fabrizio Gobbi, both on 40 points. Stefan Rualt on 39. Yannick Bock on 38, with Frydock and Leon Bock on 30, and Liam Duval and Colin Spork on 29. It very much is early days for the title fight, but anybody can still win it. And with 13 races to go, none of these drivers are safe and comfortable. They have got to roll up their sleeves and go for it and push for every ounce of speed they've got. Nobody on this field is going to rest easy. Every team is going to have their strategy and their big challenge ahead. And the first thing we're going to get to talk about just before they head off on the starting grid, of course, is tyre choice. Now, a lot of the drivers outside the top 10 are going to be considering the possibility of medium. We talked about this a little earlier on. You predicted, Tom, that we're going to be seeing essentially across the board the potential for soft, medium. But are there going to be a few gamblers out there? Will there be somebody who decides that the hard tyre is going to maximize their opportunity to be flat out?
I said, you know what? Having spoken with Right Kilk, I actually do think it's going to be the 3 stopper rather than the 2. Someone like Fabrizio Gobbi, who is amazing on his tyres, probably will do a 2 stop. He's very, very keen to always do the alternative strategy, isn't he? But I don't know. So these top guys will do soft. I mean, they'll have to do soft anyway, wouldn't they? So everyone has to use the soft. So you're mandatory. You have to use 2 of the free dry compound tyres as long as it stays dry. I'm not expecting any rain tonight. So everyone's going to have to use the soft bits when they use them. And I know Kantar used them to a very good effect in Super League Lights to get him back up to the front of the field. So I could potentially see him at the end of the race. But whether or not they choose to do 2 tyre stints on the softs, that's what I'm more interested in. Is if they can manage to make 2 stints of softs last, So I can imagine. I mean, I don't know the data, but I can imagine there's quite a big difference in the tyre delta. So let's wait and see. But softs I'm expecting to last for about 15 laps or so, and then mediums about 20. So we'll have to see what happens when we get to that lap.
So now we are getting to the crucial stage of the week. Super League is the race that everybody comes out to watch, and this is the one where everybody, who is anybody, is going to set up and pay attention. The drivers are heading to the grid now. The last few stragglers will get themselves onto that starting grid, and we will go around for the formation lap. This is where the drivers will warm up the tyres and brakes to the optimum temperature so that they can be ready for the start. Here we go. Here is the grid for the fourth round of the 2021 GPVWC Super League here at Buddh International. Adam Maguire and Stefan Rualt on the front row of the starting grid, from Yannick Bock and Liam Duval on the second row of the grid. Fabrizio Gobbi, joint championship leader, goes off fifth on the starting grid alongside Maciej Mlinek in the Edge Esports. Owen Mcgorgey right up in seventh for his 2021 debut alongside Colin Spork, only one flying lap legal in qualifying. Thomas Harvey for Red Archer right up in P9 alongside Leon Bock to round out the top 10 for Evolution. Jonic Simoncic in the Burst is 11th place, with Giuseppe Ragusa in the GSR by VBM in 12th position. Lauren Kiersmak is 13th alongside Eros Mashuli in the ADG Ghost Speed. Matthias Mus is 15th for Red Archer. Jeff Fournier, welcome back to the big show in the Scuderia Basilia. David Frydock for Epic is there in 17th alongside the Mayor Downard of George Whitehouse. Germano Zappala is 19th in the second Basilia, and Dan Stepkowski for RSR lines up 20th. Michael Francesconi is on row 11 of the grid for Mayor Downard alongside Thomas Vac in the RSR. Florian Gaia, not the greatest of qualifying laps for him. He's 23rd in the Epic alongside Giuseppe Saracino in the Green Stripes Racing Machine. Federico Russo goes off P25, Giuseppe Lino in the Ghost Speed ADG, and Robin Panzar rounds out the grid in the second of the Burst Esport cars. 27 men on the starting grid, and it will be a very tough fight. Looking at tyre choice going into this race, though, immediately we've got some interesting clues as to how the race is going to go in the midfield, Tom Parker, because we have Eros Mashuli, Germano Zappala, Michael Francesconi, Giuseppe Saracino, and Giuseppe Lino on the mediums. Everyone else is going basic and simple.
Yeah, I think that's actually the lowest amount of medium tyres I've seen at the start of the race so far, like all season. So I'm actually surprised at that. Fair enough. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I'm surprised at that. Yeah, so that's probably edging towards a free stopper for the majority of the guys out there. But it's interesting that even like the guys in the very back, like Robin and Federico Russo, they're expecting to go. They've gone soft as well. Maybe they thought they were going to try and fight their way through the grid. I don't know. It's just, I mean, personally, I would have started on mediums as well. So I'm quite surprised to see that little people start. Obviously, they know what they're doing. They're the ones out there on the track. So they've obviously done their runs and done their data. They know what they're doing. But still a shock to see that many people on the softs at the start. Obviously, the top 10 has to start on the soft compound tyre as they are qualified in the top 10. So that is mandatory. But surprised to see so many people outside of the top 10 starting on it as well. So obviously, free stopper is definitely going to be the order of the day, I think. But what order? When they pit, it's going to be interesting and fascinating to watch. Like I said, lap 15's the cut-off point, I think, and we'll have to wait until then.
So up to the starting line comes Adam Maguire, pole position for this round of the championship. The champion from 2020, and of course the man who missed the first round of the championship, but yet is still tying for the lead of the title after 2 second places. This is the race for Adam Maguire, where he will want to prove he's lost none of his speed as Panzar lines up at the back of the grid, and now the drivers are in position. 60 laps of the Buddh International Circuit can now get underway for round 4 of the 2021 GPVWC Super League. I'm Jake Sanson. Beside me is Tom Parker. Our broadcast director is Argo Teder. We are ready for action here at Buddh in India for the first time in 8 years. Super League will race in India. Let's race! Good start from Adam Maguire. Good start initially. He's going to get a bit of a squeeze from Bark, who tries to cut in the inside line and doesn't get the space. Now side by side, the twin lead is tangled. Rua's got around and a spin, and it's caused absolute pandemonium. Maguire's got away with it scot-free, and there's more drama in the second part of the lap. As 3 more cars go together. An absolute pandemonium of a start.
Yeah, that all started with Rua. We're going round, and yeah, lots of cars have got.
Oh, we've had a roll. Oh, goodness me. Now we need to pick off who is out. Vac is out of the race. Thomas Vac has gone. Several others. Mlinek has gone. That's a big name from the front end of the field. Maciej Mlinek. Saracino's gone. Vac has gone. Everybody else appears to have tried to pick their way through, but that's the first time this season we've seen a massive pile-up at the start of a Super League.
see what caused that. Colin Spork has not got a front wing. He's actually in 9th place. Oh, here we go. Look at Zapata, 15th, no rear wing. Francesconi, 16th, no front wing. Guy's got no wings at all. He's 17th. These guys are actually right. Rual, I mean, that's the big one, yeah. We'll have to see what happened with him. But Rual, 21st, no front wing. Panzer, I think, has got all of his, but no, he's lost his front wing.
Duval is out. Duval is one of them. Liam Duval is one of them, and he is out of the race again. And so is Jeff Fournier. His return lasts 2 corners.
Yeah, I saw Liam get involved as well, and he was what I was going to say. But yeah, big crash on. If we can get a replay, that'd be amazing. I'm going to have a look back now to see what caused all that in the second part.
How did Adam Maguire get away with that scot-free? That is the absolute escape of the season. That's better than Houdini as he goes into the second lap. And Maguire, look, he struggles in the first corner. He struggles to get the car stopped. Manages to catch the car again. But Bock is going to be all over him as they go down the back straight. He's even going to have a crack at him into the third lap, I think. So, out of all of that... Oh, Colin Spork is in the pits. So, he is the first of many. So, Spork is in the pits. He picked up damage, as we know. Zapala will probably be in the pit lane as well, as is Gaia, Gobby, Francesconi, Rualt. Panzar might well come in as well, as Maguire tries to fend off from Bock, who takes the lead of the race, but Maguire fends him back. So Maguire versus Bock has started on this lap. Never mind the next one. They haven't even got DRS open yet.
Yeah, wow, that's a good start. I'm just watching the replay of the issues at the start. So, yeah, Rual just spun round. He tried to go up the inside of Maguire, got it wrong and spun round. Colin Spork then hits the inside curve of turn 1, and then basically is unsighted. He can't see Rual, and then that's all that happens. And then that's all how that goes on. Then there's 3 drivers off on the left as well. And here we go. I can see Liam Duval now spinning. I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, just a bit of mayhem. There's so many cars.
We have a replay, so let's have a look at it as Maguire fends off from Bock in second position. Let's have a look at how it all kicked off. So it started at the front of the field. Here's the start, and it's Stefan Rualt who makes the look. Look, there was a little bit of a wheel rub. Now we need to slow it down. Rualt commits to the inside line. Maguire takes his racing line. He doesn't really realise that Rualt is still there. They clatter into each other. The wheels connect. Rualt goes airborne. Maguire somehow gets away with it. Look, the back travels. But Rualt goes straight into the side there of his opponents. And that's where it all really kicks off. He spins the car. Everybody takes avoiding action. And it's Colin Spork that hits Rualt. That's how they lose their front wings.
Yeah, and then the second part of the race. So you got Mcgorgey, who's that? Mcgorgey, Mlinek, and Gorby all off the track. Gorby's not giving them much space. I mean, he's got the entire track on the road. I don't really know why he's not giving them any space. But Mcgorgey and Mlinek come back onto the track, and as all that pandemonium is going off, you've got Leon Bock on the outside. He's had a mega start, trying to go around the outside, and then he just gets caught and spun around. He then turns Liam round, and that just causes the rest of the incident. So yeah, I'm very shocked that some of them are still in the race, quite frankly. I don't know how Leon's still going in 10th, but there's going to be a lot of damage on a lot of cars.
Well, 5 retirements already. Giuseppe Saracino, Thomas Tvak, Maciej Mlinek, Jeff Fournier, and Liam Duval all out on the first lap. And interestingly, lots of drivers with damage. I think Jamal Zapala has either crashed or come into the pits again. So he is now down to 22nd. But we've got Panzer, Gaia, Rualt, Francesconi, Gobby and Spork, who are all out of the points, but they've all been involved in that incident. There's only 15 cars, ironically, and there are 15 cars in the points in GPVWC Super League. Only 15 cars got away with that scot-free, so it's basically now on these guys to stay in the race and stay in the points, because they're all guaranteed points, provided they don't have incidents. But this is Super League. There are bound to be a few.
Now, Mr. Bock, we'll go back to the actual race. So I can actually watch the live stuff now. Mr. Bock has got the DRS on Adam. Let's have a good look at the old top speeds. 308 from Adam, 323 in the slipstream and that. So I'd say they're about even on top speed when they're all is accounted for. So that's good to know. Look at that, Owen Mcgorgey is having a brilliant race. And Yanni Simoncic in 4th as well. He's been a bit anonymous. Thomas Harvey in 5th as well. The 2 new boys, 3rd and 5th. Not a bad start for those guys. Giuseppe Ragusa's going to have to fly the flag for VBM today in 6th place at the moment.
This is fascinating stuff. Yannick Bock is already starting the attack on Adam Maguire. Owen Mcgorgey has given himself an amazing chance here. He's in 3rd position after all of the melee. We actually needed to talk about the race order because we've not had much of a chance to since the first lap incident. Maguire leads from Bock, Owen Mcgorgey in third place ahead of Jurnic Simoncic. Thomas Harvey is one of the big beneficiaries. He's in fifth position ahead of Giuseppe Ragusa. Then Lauren Kiersmakers, Matthias Mercer recovers to eighth. Eros Mashuli in front of Leon Bock, who's got some work to do. Fabrizio Gobbi, by the way, sets the new fastest lap at 1:25.9, driving angry and trying to get himself back into the action. I can confirm Germano Zappala is out of the race, so he obviously had too much damage to get himself back into the contention. Dan Stepkowski is 11th in front of David Frydock, George Whitehouse, Federico Russo, and Giuseppe Lino, and those are the point scorers. Then the stragglers are behind them. That is Colin Spork and Fabrizio Gobbi, Michael Francesconi, Stefan Ruaut, the original pole sitter until Maguire snatched it away from him, Flo Gaia, and Robin Panzar, and that's all we've got left because Zappala, Deval, Fournier, Mlenek, Vak and Saracino are all out of the race after the first lap incident. Shocking stuff here in India.
I think that's more retirements than the rest of the season combined. I think, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah.
Like
I think
China, we had one. I think we had one in China, didn't we? So
yeah, we did.
Mental as Leon Bock goes into ninth place, overtakes Eros Mashuli. But well, wow, that's thrown a spanner in the works for this race. I thought we were looking forward to a really close one. You've got two championship protagonists. Well, I mean, look at it. One's 19th. You've got one out. Liam Duval, he's already gone. I mean, okay, the two of them are still up there. That's nice. But yeah, I mean, the other one from Richard Gobby in 17th. So, first championship will open a little bit at this earliest point of the season. But Adam Maguire's all right. I'm sure he's going to be quite happy leading the race. Very fast middle sector this time by 24.0. He's starting to put the hammer down. Yannick Bock now just over a second behind and out of DRS range.
Goes to show you cannot afford to make a single mistake in these races because it really does pay dividends, especially at a big race like this where you've got everything so close together. But it is absolutely astonishing just how difficult things are at this point. But yeah, very, very tricky, very treacherous in this opening couple of laps. And we've already got some decent battles going on. This is in the mid-pack. We've got Bock, Mashuli, Stepkowski and Frydock having a nice little clatter together. And they're obviously keeping themselves to themselves, but this is going to turn into some overtakes because we're now with DRS well open and obviously very active. So we're looking at Dan Stepkowski, who's trying to make his bid on Eros Mashuli in the Go Speed ADG. And we need to keep an eye as well on George Whitehouse as he attacks David Frydock. Frydock comes right to the inside to hold that charge. And is this going to be a big defense from Stepkowski? It is indeed. Whitehouse is going to try and carry the speed around the outside in the Mayor Down, and he goes off onto the curbs because Frydock places in there. Now we've got some great racing going on.
Yeah, we have, and it's for some points as well, so that's pretty good. David Frydock's going to be, I think he's going to be quite disappointed he's only down in 12th. Even after all that melee, I mean, he's started 17th, so I mean, he's going to be disappointed in that straight away. But yeah, he's up to 12th now, so maybe he can make these work. They're behind Mashuli, he's obviously on those medium tyres, so he's looking in a decent position. But yeah, Frydock's going to be pretty happy with 12th at this stage. Hopefully he can push on for a bit to be a bit further up the grid.
Stint that could win Adam Maguire the race early on because, as you say, he's dropping the hammer in terms of his raw pace. He's right up there in the 24.1s in the second stint. That's faster than anybody else is going in the second stint. He's really trying to drop the hammer and get clear because he knows how quick Yannick Bock can be with DRS. So he's managed to break away from him enough in that second lap, third lap, that he was able to give him no opportunity to challenge. He's now broken away from the DRS cutoff point, so that's a big problem for Yannick Bock if he wants to win this race. He's now got to try and match him for pace without the aid of DRS as Frydock gets very close to the back of Stepkowski as they go down the back straight. Now Frydock's going to get a run at Stepkowski, but Stepkowski is also going to get a run at Mashuli, so we can have 2 or 3 moves here in one go. Down the back straight. It's stalemate, though. That's the thing. It's stalemate. Mashuli is keeping it very well protected, and that's a big moment for Stepkowski. He had to get out of the draft of Mashuli. As Mashuli hit the brakes, Stepkowski was traveling so fast on DRS, he almost clattered into the back of Mashuli. Had to get onto the curbs to avoid contact. Now he can go for him into the left-hander. Oh, so close and such a narrow gap that shuts on the way through the left apex. That was so well read by Stepkowski to get out of the way in time because that could have been a nasty race-ending incident for both men.
Could have been, yeah, and that's the risk of, I mean, that, yeah, I can see why he wanted to get past him there because now he's going to be losing a lot of time. He can't be using those soft tyres in the medium sector now, but a big, yeah, and he's feeling racy today is Mr. Stepkowski, so fingers crossed he can get back up into the top 10. But yeah, Leon Bock must have quite a bit of damage on that car, so he was involved heavily in that first corner, second corner incident. So interesting to see how much damage that bloke's got. But yeah, these top two seem to be walking away, don't they? These top two having quite a nice time for it. Owen Mcgorgey's going along nicely in third.
It's a shame, really, because the leading two were able to get away from the rest of the field, who were essentially having to dodge the traffic or make a new way round it. Here's Thomas Harvey battling with Giuseppe Ragusa, and Ragusa's got a good run here on Harvey. Harvey's got DRS as well, thanks to him following close enough to Simoncic, but Ragusa could have a last-minute lunge up the inside, and he is attacking! He's going for it up the inside! That's a very late move from Ragusa. Can Harvey sustain it? No, he can't. Fair play to Giuseppe Ragusa. He came from a million miles back. Excellent move.
Yeah, he's pretty keen as well to get going up the field. I think he's probably going to sniff a podium today, can't he? He's got Simoncic and Mcgorgey in front of him, fourth and third. But yeah, he's been looking pretty racy all day, actually. I was on board with him a minute ago, and he was looking like trying to get past any here, there, and everywhere. So he's now clear of him. So we'll see what he can do. As long as Maker's now going to be behind him in the absence of Ruo in that HRT. And yeah, we've got to see what unfolds now in these next few laps.
Well, several drivers obviously watching along that were meant to be taking part in this race. Jeff Fournier is in the club. He says, I just don't get how Yannick and Stepkowski are alive in this race. Luke Maguire watching along as well. The queue behind Owen is starting to form. It's a very good point, actually, because Mcgorgey just doesn't seem to have the raw pace to get away from the rest of the chasing pack. You've got Simoncic, Ragusa and Harvey, and even now Kiersmakers starting to get into that tow of cars as well. And even Matthias Mus is not far away. Here is Owen Mcgorgey on the centre bike. A great opening race in Super League for him after his performance at Super Cup a week ago. But he is now starting to be a bit of a cork in the bottle. He hasn't got DRS. Everybody behind him will have. And the gap is coming down rapidly. Look how quickly the gap comes down between Mcgorgey and Simoncic just on raw pace. But it's not coming down quickly enough. Their top speeds are very comparable. So Simoncic can't quite get close enough to Mcgorgey. He needs to nail that opening three corners and really pull something out of the bag to get one over on Mcgorgey. Here's Stepkowski again. Still bottlenecked in behind Bock and Mashuli. But Leon Bock is doing the best he can with a heavily damaged car as he tries to make up for lost time. We have 6 retirements. Germano Zappala, Leon Duval, Jeff Fournier, Maciej Mlejnek, Thomas Vac and Giuseppe Saracino. But it's all about the two men up front, Maguire and Bock. And Maguire has just set a 24-0 in the second split. That man does not want to be beaten today.
I think what he's showing quite nicely is that Adam might have gone a little bit higher on the wings. So as you can see, Yannick's losing about half a second a lap every time in the middle sector, but he's gaining in the first. So what that's telling me is that as we go over to sector 3, what they're doing for sector 3, so they're about even. So yeah, so first sector is obviously dominated by the straights. So I can see Yannick obviously probably got a lower wing setting than Adam, but Adam's obviously now that he's got the clear air, which he didn't have much of last time in China. He's not using that to great effect. He's actually pulling away in these middle sectors. So good stuff from Adam. Hopefully that their pit stops will be on point today and they can have no issues with that. So we'll have to see if they can keep it or if any undercut or overcut start to come into play later on.
Fascinating race. Oh, we've got Frydock going around the outside of Stepkowski before they even get to the back straight. That is a stunning little move from Frydock. And Simoncic, he's making his bid past Mcgorgey. He's got him. So Simoncic into third. We're watching the battles a bit further back. Simoncic is through into third position. I think we're going to have Mashuli past Bock. And are we going to get Whitehouse past Stepkowski? No, we don't. Still a good battle going on, but Mashuli, crucially, has now got to the front of this little queue. So Mashuli is there now in front of Leon Bock. Frydock is there in 11th place now. Stepkowski is hanging on in front of Whitehouse. The back end steps out big time for Stepkowski, and Whitehouse now has a matter of opportunity now over the course of the rest of this lap to try and squeeze away by. But Stepkowski is absolutely flirting with those limits. You can see the travel every time the car gets close to the curb. It just wants to spit out. The car is wobbling as he comes through. You can see that there's a mistake from Leon Bock, and he has to let the field go. It's so difficult to hang on to the car when it's got so much damage. So Leon Bock drops to 13th place. That is 4 places gone then in the space of the lap. And Leon Bock really struggling to hold on to this car. Is he coming in the pits? Yes, he is. So Bock is in. I don't think he's the only one, actually. I think we've got Whitehouse in as well, have we?
No, it's Stepkowski. So Stepkowski and Leon Bock both coming into the pits. It shouldn't see how much, if Leon decides to choose, if there's any damage that needs to be repaired, I imagine there is. But yeah, very early pit stops for these boys. Obviously, good looking to go onto that free stop and going to be doing some long medium stints.
We've got this battle still going on between Simoncic and, that's Ragusa getting past Mcgorgey. So Ragusa gets past up into the position, and Harvey is trying to keep Kiersmakers and Mus at bay. So this is fascinating stuff still going on. as we watch Matthias Muss stuck in behind the Dutchman, Laurent Kiersmakers, who races there, of course, for the Holland Racing team. So they continue to battle away as we watch Leon Bock having gone out of the pits. He's now in 15th place with Stubkowski. That's the other thing as well. The earlier pit stops for the drivers who had damage from the first lap, they're not even going to make the places up on the 15 cars in front of them. They're going to stay on the track positions. So this is all going to come down to how Bock, Spork, Gobby, Rualt, Francesconi and Gaia can recover, essentially, from their earlier missed arenas. They're not going to be handed a point. They're really going to have to hope for it as they continue to push forward. So these guys are going to obviously be enjoying their own race, and there's going to be a mini race at the back for the drivers who are trying to squeeze their way back into the points. 21 cars remain of the 27 that started. The most retirements we've had in any race this season after an absolute wipeout at the start of the race. Maguire leads the way from Bock by 2.6. Simoncic and the rest are 10 seconds back.
Yeah, but what's interesting now is that Simoncic has been freed and he's now setting personal bests for his race. He's still a little bit off the pace of Maguire and Bock, but he's now free of Mcgorgey, who's actually obviously Mcgorgey's pass as well, and is now going to be under attack from Thomas Harvey. Thomas Harvey going to the inside, obviously with that DRS open into braking, takes a very tight line into the right hander and gets past Mcgorgey. Mcgorgey's tyres may be starting to go off now. We'll expect to see him in the pits very soon.
Thomas Harvey turning heads everywhere he goes in his first race for Red Archer in 2021. Here's Laurent Kiersmakers as he now chases down Owen Mcgorgey. The question is going to be, as Mcgorgey struggles for grip, is he going to get past Owen Mcgorgey before Mcgorgey comes into the pits, or is this going to be a little exercise in patience as we watch Matthias Muss run there in 8th position in the Red Archer? Behind him, is that a lapped car coming up towards us? I think that is. That's not Eros Mashuli, is it? I think that's a car they've just lapped actually in position. It must be one of the... It must be another... Oh, no, sorry. That is Laurent Kiersmakers we were watching. I do apologise now. We're watching Thomas Harvey in the Red Archer. So his teammate, Matthias Muss, is there in 8th position. I do apologise. Here they come onto the main straight again. And Harvey, look at the way he's just dropped Mcgorgey. They haven't even used DRS to do that. That just shows you how much pace Mcgorgey is losing in terms of raw speed in the Cenobite. He's just got absolutely no grip left in those tyres as he falls into the clutches of Kiersmakers and Muss. And as we go down the back straight, that's where the next overtaking move is going to come from, isn't it? Laurent Kiersmakers on Owen Mcgorgey. Yeah,
he's just losing pace, isn't he, in that middle sector. Maybe, well, Hyde says he's gone for a low downforce because he's not really keeping the people behind him as well. He's just really struggling for any sort of grip. Look at that. 28.1 from him the last lap as Kiersmakers makes it easy before we even get to the braking zone. Look at that. Nicely done. But yeah, Simoncic set 26.5 that last lap. As soon as Harvey passed him, 26.6 from Harvey straight away. So gained a second and a half from him, just like half a lap. So yeah, he really is struggling, but obviously not starting to pit just yet. But now he's going to have Matthias Muss on his rear diffuser.
Mashuli is not part of this group, and that's because he is the leading driver on the medium compound. So he's obviously lost a lot of time compared to the others, but that is natural because obviously the medium tyre being slower than the soft compound. So he is the cork in the bottle of his little group of cars. David Frydock is 1.4 seconds back from him. George Whitehouse and Federico Russo not a million miles away from them. But
leaders rim.
Yep, so this is it. This is the time to pit. Maguire comes in, Bock comes in. So they have come in absolutely together. And I think Bock really had to do that. He had to pit in at the same time as Maguire. There wasn't really a chance of an undercut because there wasn't any traffic to work with. It wasn't a cleaner lap for him. The tyres would obviously have gone off. And everybody's peeling in. Simoncic, Ragusa, Kiersmakers, Mcgorgey, they all come in together. Also, it looks as though... I think that's Whitehouse in as well, is it? George Whitehouse in the Mayor Downard? Yes, it is. So they've all come in together.
Everyone except Thomas Harvey, Mashuli, Frydock pitted from that top 15 that time by. So not often that we see that many people pit on the same lap. But yeah, Thomas Harvey will lead his first lap in Super League.
Congratulations, Thomas Harvey. Welcome to the big show. You're leading in Super League. And now he's got Eros Mashuli 7 seconds behind him. David Frydock in 3rd. Hello, matey. It's been a long time coming since you've led a race on this level. And it's great to see Thomas Harvey leading in GPVWC Super League. I used to watch him week in, week out in the Birolart UK series as a very top-rated junior driver. And it's great to see him putting on such an excellent show here. Lap 14 of 60. Thomas Harvey is now a name that you need to reckon with as a new British challenger to the top of the world of Super League. Welcome to the big show, buddy. Mashuli is 8.7 seconds back. Frydock is close enough now to be in DRS range. And of course, with Mashuli on mediums and Frydock on softs, there might be one final launch before his pit stop, although Frydock is probably due into the pits anytime now, as is leader Harvey. So do not be surprised to see them boxing in. We've got yellow in sector 1 briefly, so someone obviously just having a little moment and then returning. We've got a DNF by the look of it. It's Francesconi. Francesconi is out of the race, so something has happened to Michael Francesconi. We might get a replay of that, but in comes Frydock to follow in the leader, Thomas Harvey.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me, those two going on now, but Eros Mashuli now assumes the lead of the race. But yes, Adam Maguire right on the backside of Eros already, so not too bad. Didn't look like he had to repair for too much damage either, which is impressive, because he got a fair old whack in turn 1. So him and Yannick lost he gained 8 tenths on him in that lap, actually, so as it was. He might have gained a bit of time in the pit stop, but Adam Maguire then going very, 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 very quickly in the middle sector, setting a purple sector, so looking very good. We have a replay by the sounds of it, of that incident.
I think it's a replay of Francesconi retiring from the race. We're going to find out what it was. Into the first corner. Loses the back end of the car. One-way ticket into the barriers, and that's damaged the front right suspension, so it's game over.
Like I said, one error here, and you're game over. And unfortunately, that was a lot of people in turn 1. One person's mistake made a bit of a madman rush in that first little bit. But yeah, like I said, in qualifying, one error here, and it is game over. And unfortunately, that is Francesconi's game over, as Gorby now into the pits, I believe, for a fresh set of tyres. But what is interesting, actually, Ragusa and Mcgorgey, both bitted from that front group, have both come back out onto soft compound tyres.
Yes, indeed they have. What's also interesting is that Maguire has not yet got past Eros Mashuli. He was all over him going down the back straight. You'd have thought that with DRS activated, he would have made absolute mincemeat of him, but he's having to stay behind him an additional lap. Now, Buck is there, and he's on an absolute flyer of a lap. Maguire's just done a 126.8. Buck has done a 125.895, so he's got a second quicker on this lap. Bok is now the fastest man on track. This is critical for Maguire. He cannot afford to sit behind Eros Mashuli for another lap because Bok is charging after him. And if he gets boxed in one more time, this is a big problem for Maguire.
Well, so I've been saying all race, Maguire's been half a second faster than Bok. Bok actually took 6 attempts out of him in that middle sector last time, but Adam gets by him here. Now it's going to be Yannick's turn to get stuck behind Eros, I potentially think here. But yeah, that's a lot of time lost now for Adam. I mean, okay, he's still got about a 2-second lead over him, but still, that's 2 seconds rather than 3, and that's obviously going to make him start to sweat a little bit more than he should have to.
Is that a bit of a ray of hope for Yannick Bok, or is that Adam Maguire just pacing himself?
I think he might have just caught him at the wrong time. Maybe Eros has got a better aero package than he thought he had, maybe. As he doesn't, like I said, he's not losing massive amount of time to Yannick, and considering Yannick's just pitted for tyres and is looking pretty good at the moment, he's not really catching on to the back of Eros very quickly. So, yeah, maybe Eros has just gone well in the high speed and he's just didn't catch him at a bad time. I think that's probably all it is there. But yeah, it's going to make Adam think. It's definitely going to make Adam think that, oh no, he's going to be there. He's going to be on my back soon. As Ragusa now actually up into 4th place on those softs.
Indeed, Ragusa is doing a fantastic job. I'd love to get some on board from him on the inset, actually, as too would Christian Pascal. So we'll try and get that sorted for you to see what Ragusa is up to. But here's Yannick Bok closing up on Eros Mashuli, and he needs to make it work. There is the inset with Giuseppe Ragusa. So we'll keep an eye on Yannick Bok. Hopefully he won't get stuck behind Eros Mashuli for too long. But that just shows you how much time you can lose getting stuck behind a slower driver. DRS opens for Yannick Bok, and he needs to make use of it. He needs to make use of it. He really needs to make use of it. Otherwise, he's going to get stuck behind, and he doesn't make use of it. Not in time anyway. Mashuli stays in front of Yannick Bok, and this is a big problem. He needs to get by in the left-hander now. He needs to go for it.
Interesting, yes.
Eros Mashuli unable to make it work as we ride on board with Matthias Mus. He goes for Lino, and he gets through. So Lino drops to 10th position. Matthias Mus gets into 9th. Yannick Bok unable to get past Eros Mashuli either on the back straight or with a decent, genuine run into the following left-hander for turn 5. That's unusual. I would have thought Yannick Bok would have made that one look easy.
Yeah, I think he made a bit of a mistake personally. Maybe looking at it, like he had right at the end of the straight, didn't he? He had a tiny bit of a peak, and I think it might kind of put him off a little bit for that right-hander hairpin. I would have personally stayed in the slipstream, gone round, and maybe tried to get a better exit. But yeah, it's cost him now because he's lost 1.3 seconds in the middle sector to Adam Maguire. So all that work he did, making that time back up, he is now lost and more.
So the ray of hope is now definitely a pipe dream now for Yannick Bok. He's stuck behind Eros Mashuli for an additional lap as Thomas Harvey is now close up behind Jonic Simincic. So he could make a move for P5 here. As onto the far side of the course. You've still got Yannick Bock trying to wrestle with Eros Mashuli, and he is just hemorrhaging time as they go down to the back straight now. As Michael Ayres rightly points out, this is absolute heaven sent. Perfect for Adam Maguire out front. Here comes Yannick Bock. If you don't overtake this one now, mate, you may as well give up the victory. He has got through. So Yannick Bock gets into second place, but that was one lap too long, sat behind the ghost speed.
One lap too long, and as Luke Maguire pointed out in the chat, that's Adam's old teammate doing him a very good favour there. So yeah, big loss there for Yannick Bock. I think now it's
Harvey on Simicic. Sorry, Tom. Harvey on Simicic. Now this is for a potential podium. Don't forget. So Harvey on Simicic, and that gets him into net fourth position, doesn't it? Because Eros Mashuli still needs to pit. Ragusa is in front of him on softs, so it's clear that he might be looking at a three-stop strategy. Oh, both Harvey and Simicic using far too much curb on the way out of the left-hander. So easy just to drop it. And we're talking like a couple of millimeters off the normal optimum line, and the entire car can just be thrown off kilter. So it's so easy to get wrong. We now have just 20 cars left in the race. We have retirements now from Michael Francesconi, Germano Zappala. Oh, yeah, sorry. Mashudi does come into the pits. You're absolutely right. New fastest lap from Fabrizio Gobbi, who does a 1:25.504, desperately trying to fight his way back. But now we've got Maguire and Box separated by 4 seconds as a result of Mashuli's slight roadblock tactics. Harvey is now to 4th position in front of Jonic Simicic. And then we've got Lauren Kiersmakers into 6th place in front of Owen Mcgorgey and Matthias Mus. Eros Mashuli will get out of the pits. Now he will rejoin in about 13th, I think, behind Dan Stepkowski. So Eros Mashuli, he's going to get out just ahead of Stepkowski, in fact. So that was well timed by, sorry. Stepkowski did get by. It's Leon Bock, who's now behind him in 14th place. What a miserable day at the office it's been for Leon Bock. And then you could also say exactly the same thing for Rualt, Spork, Gobby, Gaia, and anybody who didn't make it round lap 1.
Yeah, unfortunately, all those people who retired early on as well. It's been a bit of a miserable day for quite a lot of drivers today. So Stefan Ruhl comes into the pits from 16th place. But yeah, I mean, the top 15, they're all the ones who've kind of had no issues, really.
This is the Super League equivalent of Germany 1994, isn't it? You know, that massive pile-up where the rest of the race is basically watching to see what happens to the guys who are left. And it's a very similar sort of race. Rualt, Gaia, and Panzer all coming into the pits on this lap. They may as well. What else can they do? As Fabrizio Gobbi sets another new fastest third sector, 23.7 for him this time. Colin Spork on a 23.8. So they're setting fast laps, but they're not going to get any points.
Well, this moment in time, obviously it's a long race yet to go. We've still got 41 laps to go yet, and we've already seen a few areas in the middle sector already. So all it takes is, like you said, a couple of millimeters off into the Astra, and you're going straight into the wall. So plenty of time left yet in this race for someone to make a silly mistake, but. Ragusa is not, he's on the soft tyres on 26.5. He's still half a second slower than the guys in front of him. Obviously, they're way up the road now, 15 seconds up the road. Lino now pits for 11th place. Yeah, they're way up the road, but, I mean, he's not really pulling away from the people behind him either. These guys on the medium, so Tom Harvey, Simicic, Kiersmakers, all pretty close in formation behind. He's now started to stop, he stopped dropping them, and they're now starting to make their way back, so I don't know if these soft side tyres are a good idea, really. I'm playing the medium, to stay medium to the end would be the best way to go. Maybe softs at the end so you can pull up and then maybe overtake, but yeah, I think softs at this phase of the race may be a mistake.
So you think that this is definitely going to be a 3-stop for some drivers, but essentially 2-stop is the better way to go on a pair of mediums?
I think 3-stop all the way, but I think they're going to have to use all mediums. Medium every stint.
Interesting. That is fascinating insight, and it's interesting to see the drivers that are trying to utilise a different combination. You've certainly got Owen Mcgorgey there on softs and Giuseppe Ragusa on softs as well. The rest of the field still very much going for convention. We're on board with Lauren Kiersmakers as he goes after Jonic Simicic in P5, trying to make the move. Simicic just got a little bit wide out of the right-hander as they come into that final turn. You can see just how much time Kiersmakers is making just by being much more ruthless on the inside apex. The problem is then you have to blend off the steering and get on the throttle rather gingerly. So he's got opportunity to make up. He brakes a little bit later than Simicic in general, but he goes for a tighter line, which means that Simicic can blend the throttle a little bit less aggressively, and that keeps the car a little bit more stable. But surely now Kiersmakers is going to have DRS to utilise, and he will get that on the main straight here as they go down the back straight. So Kiersmakers chasing after Simicic. He's coming from a long way back, but we know that Kiersmakers can be one of the last of the late breakers when he chooses to be. Is this going to be an opportunity? No, he's not going to go for that one. It's too high risk in the middle phase of this race. There's still a long way to go, and you don't want to get into danger zone if you haven't got a decent takeoff clearance.
Yeah, I don't know. Such doesn't seem 100% comfortable in that car, does he? I don't know what it is. He's just, I mean, Thomas Harvey obviously breezed past him quite easily. Kismaker's now run up to the back of him, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem 100% confident. I think he's gone for quite a low wing setting, because I mean, Kismaker's even with the DRS situation was quite close to him as well. Didn't really have any other chance really of having a proper lunge up the inside, and Simčić goes a bit squiggly out of that right-hander, but manages to hold it. But yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem too comfortable at the moment, the first esports driver. But maybe that'll come. Maybe it'll come to him further in the stint. But yeah, I think at his early phase of this stint, he doesn't seem too comfortable.
So the race continues on. It will be an interesting battle for third position in this race. It could still be something on for first place, but it ultimately comes down to how much of a mistake Adam Maguire can make. It would be foolhardy to say that this race was won in the first lap, because there's still a long way to go, and this is Super League, but it's certainly been given a better opportunity by Adam Maguire as the man who got away with it. Fascinating to see that in that little tangle between him and Ruaut, there was literally nothing in it. In one of those incidents as well, you know, Ruaut might have an argument to suggest that he was squeezed into a spin there by Maguire. There was definitely contact between them. Is it fair to say that that's a racing incident, or do you think that there is an argument to suggest that it was somehow more than that?
I think it was a lap one, turn one incident. I think it's just one of those racing incidents. I mean, Ruaut would have been a bit frustrated. He made a bit of a poor start. I mean, he had Yannick make an amazing start, didn't he, from third on the grid. Yeah. I think he's just trying to make a lunge that wasn't really there. Adam had every right to turn in. Luckily, Adam got away with it. But yeah, Ruaut maybe was feeling a bit pressured to make that move. But it's a shame, and I think it has cost us a really good race between these top 3 or 4. But yeah, I think it's just I think it will go down to a turn one lap one incident. Obviously, Liam caught him in the aftermath as well. Colin Spork and absolutely no way of knowing there was a car there until the last second. Just real bad luck, I think. You know, just a racing incident, I would say. Obviously, I'm a commentator for a reason, not head of the RD. So, I mean, I'm expecting to see a report for that entire melee, because obviously a lot of drivers were caused a lot of damage there. So yes, let's see how it plays out. But obviously, like, I think it's robbed us of a really, really good race. It's actually interesting. Adam Maguire must have cut in that last lap. He's actually not got a lap time for the last lap. So
do you know what? I'm expecting the RD report to be longer than the race report on the GPVWC website. It's going to be quite a lot of incidents to go into just from that first lap alone. So there could be quite a few people with a bit of an issue with a couple of drivers out there. But yeah, it's flotsam and jetsam, isn't it? You get spat out and you get treated like a pinball once 2 or 3 drivers lose their way. I'm inclined to agree with you on that first corner incident between Maguire and Ruaut. Ruaut obviously trying to go for a move that could well have been there. I don't think it's fair to say that it was never on, because it could well have been. He could have intimidated Maguire into running a little bit wide. So the lead fight could have been there, but Maguire is a tough nut to crack. And he, as you say, he had every right to take what was essentially the racing line. And that is exactly the racing line. He didn't turn in too early. He didn't cut across him. He didn't brake test into the first corner. He didn't intimidate him. He just did what a racing driver would do in the lead of a race. He would claim his position, and that's absolutely fine and dandy. So I wonder if race officials will have any more to say about it. Certainly Maguire and Bock 5 seconds apart and 12 further seconds clear up the rest of the road. Ragusa is 3 seconds clear of Harvey, who still has a little bit of a gap over Simčić. You can see it there for yourself. There is Adam Maguire, and that's the decent gap he's got. It's not quite the length of the back straight. He'd certainly like it to be, but let's not forget that this will be his first win of the season if he does it. He missed the first race of the season, and if he wins this, he takes the lead of the championship, quite considerably too.
Will be a very, very big lead. Over that gaggle of cars would be leading from Yannick Bock at this point. It'd only be a few points in the lead, but it would be a lead, starting to stretch out nonetheless. We do have Mr. Lee Davidson ready for an interview of the Epic Racing team. One team that does have 2 cars in the race still at the moment, in 9th and 20th, so I'll just drag him in a second. But yeah, fantastic. Adam Maguire looking pretty good to take the lead of the championship outright.
So let's have a quick word with Lee Davidson of the Epic Racing team. Things are still going relatively well for the 2 drivers who are still going. One in the points, one firmly struggling to get back into them. Lee Davidson, not the easiest race for you guys so far, but must have been very interesting to deal with that first corner incident. Just talk us through it from a manager's point of view.
Yeah, well, you see a car turn around in turn one and your heart sinks and you wonder if both cars are going to get through it or not, basically, don't you? Yeah, David managed to get through it quite nicely by the look of things, but Flo sadly got caught up in it.
And it's obviously a very difficult race because then essentially it means that you've got two racers with very different mindsets. You know, Frydock is probably still motivated, I guess, to get a decent top 6 result, whereas Gaia is literally just lapping to see what happens.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, the race is all for David to take, and still really he's got opportunities later in the race, hopefully, to make up some more ground. With Flo, we'll go and just treat it as a little test session now and see if we can pick up anything at the end. But yeah, he's gonna keep going for now, at least.
Well, what have you managed to gather in terms of data in the car over the course of the first half of the race? Because obviously, Gaia is out there getting laps, but he can obviously be very useful in terms of utilising and maximising the race package, being out there drilling laps.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, it's all information that we can feed back to David, basically. So we can keep him out there and just get an idea of conditions with different tyres, perhaps, or something like that. We've got the option, at least. That's the main thing, whilst Flo's still on track. And we'll see where we can get him, at least. There's still a small chance something could happen up ahead and pick up the pieces.
And there's obviously, you know, there is some raw race pace in this car. We saw that, obviously, a couple of races ago. We know that this car's got the potential, and obviously David got a podium last time out in China in fantastic style. Is there a potential for Frydock to make up a few more places? Can he get into that top 6, or are we really going to learn that answer once we get to the next pit stop phase?
Yeah, I think the next stint's probably critical. It's tricky right now because obviously he's not got DRS, and the cars in front of him, I think most of them do. So he's on his own at the moment, but I think with a little bit of strategy, maybe we can close the gap up to Matthias just up ahead and see what we can get.
Okay, well, good to talk to you, Lee. Thank you very much indeed for coming in mid-race. We won't try and stress you out too much, but it was always great to get your insight. Thank you.
All good, guys. Cheers.
Well, the chances of getting two Epic Racing cars into the points have just accelerated a little bit there, Tom Parker, because we have a retirement from 15th, and it is unfortunately Giuseppe Lino who has retired from the race. So there's no points in the bag for Go Speed ADG today from that particular car anyway, from Giuseppe Lino. There's still a good chance, obviously, from Eros Mashuli, but the second car that was sat in 15th is now out of the race. And that actually gives the points position over to Colin Spork, who is still trying to get the fastest lap of the race.
Oh, interesting. So Lino just parked it, basically. He went to the pit stop and then just parked the car. So that's a weird one. Must have thought that maybe he couldn't get it to the end, or maybe, I don't know, that's a bit of a weird one. But yeah, Frydock looking pretty good. I wonder if that change in strategy that Lee was talking about maybe might mean some soft tyres in the near future for that car. So be interesting to see what he goes on to when they do his next pit stop. But yeah, the top two up front looking pretty comfortable, aren't they? Now,
I was just going to say, sorry, I was going to come up with a left field theory for why Giuseppe Lino might have retired. Could it even have been driver fatigue? Because I've heard a couple of drivers talk about, you know, this particular race, this particular circuit being very high pressure and very, very difficult, especially in that mid section where you're trying to keep high intensity through the faster apexes. Could that even have been a factor?
I would have been surprised at this stage in the race. I mean, potentially, it really could have been, but I'd say 25 laps through, I'd be very surprised if he was fatigued at that moment. I mean, Super League Lights, the boys did about, I think it was 42 or 52 laps, so I'd be surprised. But yeah, I mean, it could be a part of it.
Of course, he could have still been driving with sustained damage from the first lap incident, and obviously, if you drive that for a certain length of time, it just becomes undrivable after a while. So, all sorts of theories, all sorts of theories. Leon Bock and Federico Russo have both been into the pits, and we now have 19 cars running. It's a bit of a demolition derby in this particular race here at Super League, certainly for the first lap. It's been very clean otherwise, and lots of great racing and good overtakes as we watch Owen Mcgorgey in the Cenobite car running in P7 at this moment in time, having a really solid evening's work. Maguire, Bock, Ragusa is the podium at this moment in time. Then Thomas Harvey. Oh,
Goes into the pits when it's soft, so he's managed to make those softs last a very long time. I think the same. Yeah, so same amount of laps this time by for Gusa, but yeah, very early pit stop for him. As Mcgorgey goes on, interestingly, obviously having pitted on the same lap for the same tyres.
Yes, indeed. So Mcgorgey continues on his way. Me clearly thinking there's at least one more lap. The battle in front. That's Kiersmakers getting Simoncic, and he gets him even before the back straight. Now this could be fascinating because Simoncic might not get DRS as a result of that. Kiersmakers is going to get DRS. Simoncic, he does as well based on the car in front of him. So they're going to be side by side to the corner, and this is not something that Kiersmakers is going to want to give up. He goes very deep on the brakes. Simoncic nerfs the back wheel as he tries to get off on the gas again. And Kiersmakers gets through, but that was so close.
Yeah, I saw Simoncic just get a little bit twitchy there as well under the brakes. I'm not sure if there was a tiny bit of contact potentially, but yeah, Kiersmakers luckily to get a DRS there from I believe that's the Epic Racing of Flo Gaia in front of them. But yeah, if that wasn't there, that'd have been a hook, line, and sinker. But yeah, now Cosmic is through. Look at that, he's already driven well away. I actually gave Mcgorgey and Musa a little sniff as well, but couldn't quite make it happen. And Adam Maguire pits from the lead of the race, and Yannick Bock goes on. Interesting.
Wow, definitely very interesting. And we've now got this little tussle on track. Leon Bock versus Fabrizio Gobbi, because Gobbi is now in 14th place. Dan Stavkovsky is obviously pitted again, so he's now dropped behind. Federico Russo is in 16th place now. Stefan Rualt is up to 17th. It's into the pits come Mcgorgey and Mus. They come in together. So Mcgorgey couldn't make the tyres last much longer. Simoncic in on this lap as well, so clearly his tyres were falling by the wayside. Kiersmakers is able to make them go at least one lap longer. But with Maguire in the pits, leaving Yannick Bock out on track. Thomas Harvey in second and Maguire in third. Maguire still has plenty of opportunity here to get back into the lead of the race once Bock and Harvey retire. It's not really a stress for Maguire at all, as the drivers are now in this phase of the race. We're at the halfway point, which would seem to suggest you were absolutely spot on in terms of calling this as a three-stop race.
Yeah, so I'm expecting to see Adam now after this another set. So he's done 15 laps on that last set, so he'll do another 15 laps to get halfway through. But Yannick, I mean, he's still setting PB sectors. He's just set a PB middle sector. Adam's going to get stuck behind Tom for a little bit no matter what happens. Obviously, Yannick just wants to clear Tom. I think that was his aim, to clear Tom when he comes in for his pit. But yeah, it's just interesting. We'll have to see what if Yannick comes in this lap, and in fact he does. But yeah, it sets a purple, blue. Where's that come from? A green middle sector. And yeah, hopefully we'll see if he goes on to the. I'm expecting to see him on some mediums again. But yeah, this may bring him in to do some soft stints at the end of the race.
Tom, I keep telling you, those dog biscuits aren't going to fix your colour blindness, mate. It's not going to work. Yannick Bock into the pits, leading the race temporarily. Thomas Harvey is going to lead another lap of this season as Maguire goes through. And, oh, goodness me, look at that. Bock is still exiting the pit lane. That is how big a difference Maguire has been able to make on this phase of the race. Look, he's a long way ahead of Yannick Bock. We're talking 7 to 8 seconds now, the gap between the two of them after the pit stop, and Maguire is just going to make mincemeat of Harvey. Harvey's not even going to get involved in this battle. He doesn't need to. He's got his own race and he's got his own podium to fight for, so he lets Maguire go. No problem at all with that, and so Maguire takes the lead again.
He does indeed, and like you said, he's about 6 to 7 seconds clear, so he's looking pretty good for this race. I think the only way Yannick's going to do it now is by maybe going on to some softs at the end of the race, but everyone now, except Mashuli onto his first set of softs now for this race. But yeah, that's Mashuli in fourth at the moment. I think he's out of sequence, isn't he, at the moment? But yeah, some interesting strategies now coming up. Maybe Yannick, if he can make these tyres last a little bit longer again, he may be going on to some softs at the end. Like I said, I think that's the only way he's going to have a realistic chance of winning this race today.
This is definitely going to be an interesting third stint of 4, because we're going to see some interesting battles now. Yannick Bock is there in third position, trying to make up some of the deficit he's lost to Maguire. And that's, do you know what? That gap has doubled in the pit stops. It was steady at about 4 to 5 seconds, and now it's nearly 8 seconds after the pit stop. So that is not good work from the Evolution team by comparison. They've got a chance now to close up, obviously, on the rest of the field. Bock is now behind traffic. That is Flo Gaia, who has been lapped, who is in 18th place. Is that a retirement from Leon Bock? I think it is. Leon Bock has retired from the race. I didn't see that, so I think Leon Bock has parked the car as well, and he is now out of the race. That is a shame for the Evolution driver, but after the damage he sustained, perfectly inevitable.
Yeah, I'm just going to see now if it was just a park and stop. Yeah, he's going through sector 3. Oh no, that's just a disconnect, I think.
Oh dear. So Leon Bock with a disconnect, and that's the equivalent of an electrical failure in the motor racing world in sim racing. So Colin Spork into the pits for a pit stop, and hopefully this is going to go according to plan. He was nearly in the top 10 as a result of staying out on the track, but he should still be in contention for points today if he can just keep it together. He is exiting the pits stationary for 5.3. He will rejoin in 15th place behind Rualt and ahead of Gobby. So fascinating stuff. They've all gone on to the soft tyres as well, Rualt and Spork, for this sector, for this phase of the race. So now we've only got 3 drivers out there who are not in the points: Fabrizio Gobby, Robin Pansar and Flo Gaia. So for those drivers who were involved in the first lap incident to just keep going, they could be rewarded with at least a handful of championship points.
Yes, so I mean, we're only halfway through, aren't we? We've only got 18 drivers actually on track. So Leon disconnecting, so not technically out, but may as well be at this stage. But yeah, you're right, that gap doubled between Maguire and Bach. It is now 7.6 seconds. George Whitehouse now comes in for his second stop of the day, and we'll drop him back down into the lower reaches of the top 10.
I'll tell you what, Harvey and Whitehouse have both been very impressive today in their own right, because Harvey and Whitehouse are still learning the craft of Super League. They've been very strong in the lower categories, but they're still learning the craft of Super League. Whitehouse has been very solid in that midfield battle. He's there in 11th as he gets out, but don't forget that there's quite a few drivers around him that still need to make that crucial pit stop to go on to the next set of tyres. And Thomas Harvey is at the pressure of running at the front of the field with the likes of Maguire and Bach, and could have thrown it away at that point, but he's kept his nerve and held his resolve, and been very, very competitive. Now, I am intrigued to see what happens as we continue on here, but Stefan Rualt now pits. Spork and Gobby both getting their way into the points for the moment. Only Robin Panzar and Flo Gaia behind him now. But Thomas Harvey still trying to shake off this man, Jernic Simoncic, for the Burst Esport team, who I have to say, a very solid afternoon for Jernic, but despite how strong he has been, I think he's going to have a little bit that he's going to be disappointed with. There are opportunities there he could have been third by this point, and I think he's going to feel that he could have brought something more to the table.
Yeah, and like I said, we've been saying all season long, Jerne is one of the strongest drivers in R92, so why I'm surprised he's not leading or in that battle for the top 3 as Aris Mashuli now pits from third. But yeah, Simoncic, I mean, I don't know if he's not getting on with the car, if it's a strategy, if it's setup maybe he's not getting on with, but yeah, something doesn't seem to be working in his favour. I mean, like I said earlier, he didn't seem comfortable in the car, did he? He just didn't seem to be comfortable. I don't know what it is, but maybe got to do a little bit of work in the next couple of weeks to try and find that comfort issue that it could potentially be and start pushing on, because he's not a million miles away in the championship. It's not like he's out of it yet, but the more results you get like this, the further and further away he gets from the lead, and obviously now going to be under pressure from Keersmakers again, but he's thankfully got Harvey there to drag him along with him.
So Eros Mashuli just pitting there, Tom. Sorry to cut across there. Eros Mashuli taking his initiative to come into the pits. Another new fastest lap from Colin Spork. He's just done a 1:24.4. Now, because he's in the points now, that will give him the bonus point for the fastest lap, of course, if he manages to keep it. So you're only eligible for fastest lap points if you actually score points in the race. So that is obviously very important to Colin Spork's title attack, if he can finish in the top 15 and also maintain the fastest lap. Flo Gaia, according to team boss Lee Davidson, very nearly didn't race today due to the illness he is currently suffering with. He's hanging on in there. He's in 18th position, which admittedly is 18th of the 18. But even so, you know, you've got to be in it to win it, and points mean prizes. You've got to keep pushing. And Flo Gaia, I've always admired him. He's not the kind of driver who just throws in the towel, because he always tries to fight. If the car has anything left in it, he is going to keep fighting for it.
Yeah, I mean, good on him. And like I said, he may still get something out of this race. Obviously, he's currently last of the runners on track, but that doesn't mean he's not going to get any points today.
Oh, Mcgorgey! Mcgorgey's out. Owen Mcgorgey's out. Now, something has happened there to Owen Mcgorgey. We need to pick up on that, because that is the Cenobite driver out of this race. And let's not forget that he was...
Engine.
Well, Owen Mcgorgey pushing the engine too hard then. And unfortunately, he has blown his top out of the race. So Owen Mcgorgey retires. We're going to see a replay of it. So Owen Mcgorgey comes through. We're about to see a big puff of smoke, are we? There it is. There it is. Oh, Owen Mcgorgey. So impressive coming into this race. So impressive coming into it. But the engine just goes. It literally just goes. Nothing left in it.
Yeah, which is a shock. I mean, it was on upshift as well, so it's not like he was downshifting and we blew it that way. Well, it's just like I said, nothing left, and There we go. Now down to 17. 17 cars left.
Well, and that's a shame for Owen Mcgorgey and the Cenobite as well. Let's not forget he was the only Cenobite out there today. They really need to sort themselves out and get a second car out on the circuit, because it's clear that the car does have enough gumption to get to the points. But unfortunate then, as the sole member of the Cenobite squad ends up retiring and pulling off the course. That is unfortunate. Meanwhile, the race continues on in this epic battle for just outside the podium. Ragusa still making his strategy work. He's now on the mediums, of course, for the first time, having gone softs twice. And so now we've got an intriguing battle as Harvey tries to hang on in front of Simičić and Kiersmakers. Matthias Muss is there in 7th, now ahead of Frydock, Mashuli and Whitehouse. Thanks to the absence of Mcgorgey, these 4 are left to fight alone for 4th position. And that's actually going to take the pressure off a little bit. It's one less car to deal with. It's one less obstacle for these drivers to battle away with. And Mcgorgey is going to be frustrated, sat on the sidelines.
Yeah, he was looking pretty good, wasn't he? In about 8th place or there or thereabouts. Looking pretty good for some strong points in his debut. I'm seen about it as well, but I was going to be gutting for them all. Hopefully they'll be able to fight back to live another day in Baku. But obviously that's 2 weeks away. We're worried about now. And yeah, David Frydock is going to be beneficial from that, now up into 8th place. And he is now actually closing in on that little fight for 4th place with Thomas Harvey at the head of that train. So Harvey about the same pace as Ragusa. So Ragusa looking pretty good for a 3rd place at the moment. I think it would be his first podium in Super League as well, so that'd be a good achievement for him. But yeah, some beneficiaries from, like I said, David Frydock, Mashuli and Whitehouse. Whitehouse now back into the top 10. Currently on softs as well as Mashuli. Mashuli going very quickly at the moment, 24.8 as well. Not miles away from Frydock, so Mashuli may be looking to score some more and more championship points as this race goes on.
Panzar in the pits, and that drops him to the back of the field. So Flo Gaia is just 1 place away from a point now, with 17 cars running and 15 cars scoring points in GPVWC Super League. So this could be a fascinating little battle between Maguire and Bock. They're going to go probably another 8 laps or so before they're going to start thinking about their final stop. Although, of course, they could push a little bit further with those mediums. It'll just be down to when they decide to go. And again, this doesn't really come down to strategy much, because Maguire has that 8-second cushion over Bock. This is going to come down to luck now for Yannick Bock. 8 seconds is a massive quantity of time to try and make up over the course of the remainder of this race. And it's not as if Maguire's going slowly. He's actually outlapping and outpacing Yannick Bock on the whole, particularly in that middle sector. He really is very strong there. So Bock is really going to struggle to hold a candle to Maguire in this latter stage of the race. I think Maguire already has one hand on the winner's trophy, psychologically, if nothing else.
Yeah, so if, Yannick, if he does try and do, if he does pit later than Adam's going to gain some more time, purely because he's going to have fresher tyres as well. So yeah, Yannick may be able to go onto the softs, but is he going to have enough time to make up? I mean, to say it's 15 laps, maybe 16 laps to go on softs. I don't think he's going to have enough time. So yeah, like I said, Adam's psychologically looking pretty good, pulling away as he is at the moment. Well, he actually lost 2 attempts on that last lap, but overall he's been gaining a bit of time here and there. Yeah, Adam looking very strong at the moment. So is Ragusa. Like I said, Ragusa actually lost a little bit of time that last lap to Harvey, but still looking very, very strong for a podium.
And to be fair to them, whoever finishes in 3rd place out of Giuseppe Ragusa or Thomas Harvey can expect to take home their first podium finish in Super League. But there are a couple of drivers who have scored podiums in the past queuing up to try and take it from them. Jonic Simičić in 5th place. Laurent Kiersmakers in 6th. Matthias Muss in 7th. I'm fairly sure he still needs to make his first trip to the podium. David Frydock, former world champion. So there's still plenty of opportunities for a few drivers to pick up the pieces in this race. Mashuli and Whitehouse in the top 10. Stepkowski, Russo, Spork, Gobby, Rualt, Gaia and Panzar are the only remaining runners in this race. The bottom 2, Gaia and Panzar, currently outside the points, but there's still time for them to get back into it. Solid lap there from Yannick Bock that time around. It's the first sector where Adam Maguire is hemorrhaging time. He's really not as fast in that first sector as Yannick Bock, but he definitely makes up for it in sectors 2 and 3. That's where he manages to gain back the time and keep this solid performance. There's no doubt that Yannick Bock has a very strong car in the first sector, but it's in the 2nd and 3rd that's when things really come into his own. And he's doing a fascinating job, Adam Maguire, of really starting to stretch that advantage. There is 3rd place Giuseppe Ragusa, and he is very solid indeed in that 3rd place. He's coming up to lap Flo Gaia himself. And Ragusa, this is such a mature and composed run from Giuseppe Ragusa, and this is going to be a coming-of-age moment in third position if he can hang on to this and grab his first podium.
Yes, it will. I mean, in the absence of Gobby, obviously, with his first lap incident, it will be really, really good for the GSR Sim Racing Centre team to keep that string of podiums going. I mean, they've had 2 so far this season, obviously, with Gobby. A bit of a disappointing race last time out in 8th, but yeah, 3rd place would be great for him. And even for Red Archer, this would be a great team result for Red Archer, actually. I mean, look at that, 4th and 7th at the moment. I think they're the best team in terms of position so far today as well. So, looking pretty good for those points as well. Ooh. What have you seen?
Big tank slapper for Thomas Harvey. That is as close to a spin as you can get without actually losing it. That is so close for Thomas Harvey. The back end was almost side by side with the front wheels. It was sliding out so much. Thomas Harvey, that is such a good catch. And there's so many drivers more experienced than him that would have lost it there. So Thomas Harvey absolutely on the knife edge as he manages to catch the car from a massive moment. Simoncic, Kiersmakers and Mus a little bit closer to him, but at least now Thomas Harvey still has a fight on his hands.
Yeah, and having obviously engineered him in Super League Lights, I know how calm he is. He'll be so calm as well. He's such a calm character behind the wheel. So I know that this probably isn't going to be getting to him at all. I mean, yeah, you're 4th in Super League. It's a bit different to 1st in Super League Lights, but he's still going. I can know he's just going to be quite calm. He's going to be collected.
Do you know he was always the way as a junior karter as well. Nothing ever phased him, Thomas Harvey. He's just got an absolute iron steel composure. It's absolutely amazing to watch him. And even now, when he's got Simoncic, Kiersmakers and Mus all over the back of him, you know, he's not even cracking a moment. He's not drifting away. He's not easing up. He's not making mistakes. He's not locking the brakes. He's just keeping the car very smooth, very traveled. He's even positioning the car exactly where he needs to keep it in order to intimidate the drivers behind him. This is such a reserved drive and very composed. On board with Eros Mashudi on the inset, and he's getting quite close to David Frydock, so there could be a challenge for 8th place from Mashuli as he tries to get a little bit closer in. We're watching Jonas Simoncic on the main picture now as well. So you've got Maguire and Bock separated by 7.5. And now Bock is starting to match Maguire for pace. Is that Maguire backing off, or is that tyres starting to drop for Adam Maguire?
Potentially tyres. Obviously, he came in a lap earlier, so that could potentially be it. He has so far done 11 laps on these tyres. He did 15 on the first set of soft mediums he chose. Yannick's obviously done 10 compared to the 16 he did on the one before. So he does have 1 lap fresher tyres. I mean, yeah, like you said, I mean, look at that first sector. He's 3 tenths faster in the first sector, and that's all top speed. I was just on board with them both a second ago to compare it, and Yannick's getting about 6 or 7 kilometres an hour more on the straights. So obviously telling me that he's got lower wings, and therefore that's why Adam's so. I mean, look at that, half a second in the first sector alone. Yannick, very, very quick there, and you'll probably see all that time lost in the middle sector because of Adam's wings.
So it looks as though we've had a change of position there. I think that's Colin Spork making a place on Russo, because Federico Russo in the green stripes racing car is pit lane bound. So Russo will drop down the order, and that's going to give Spork, Gobby and Rualt a little bit more momentum as they will move past the green stripes number 77. But we're keeping an eye on Adam Maguire when he goes for broke and makes his pit stop, because that is crucial to the latter phase of this race. And you've got to think, if his tyres are starting to go, because he's made some big laps of late, he's been consistently quicker than Yannick Bock, but Bock is so strong in that first sector that all of the work that Maguire does in Sector 2, Sector 3, Bock is actually doing the best job he possibly can here. Maguire is very weak by comparison in terms of raw pace in the first sector. Sector 2 and 3, he really has to make up for it as Flo Guy does the gentlemanly thing and gets out of the way of this queue of cars from 4th down to 8th. But
oh no! Oh no! Musculi and Flo have had it coming together, I think.
No, that's not good. That's not good. We're going to need to see that one again. Musculi and Flo have had it coming together by the look of it. Musculi's gone through into... Mashuli is still 9th place, so it looks as though the two of them have managed to keep going. But certainly a bit of a moment between the two of them as they got a little too close together. Now we could see an overtake down this back straight before we jump to that replay. Simoncic has got Harvey on the run. Harvey's defending. Simoncic committed to the move. Not a lot of space to play with, but Simoncic completely, absolutely on the knock stops on the inside line. And Harvey sneaks back by on the exit. Brilliant bit of controlled driving from Harvey. Simoncic absolutely nails him, but on the exit, Harvey says, "Peekaboo, I'm still here to play." Brilliant.
Yeah, he knew down from Super League Lights. Just in a similar situation. I think we have got a replay of that incident between Flo and Eros, and I'll let you talk it through.
So Erosh has got a moment here on Flo. Was it Flo spinning the car? Yes, it was. Well, he just backed off because of the other cars. Erosh came around the outside thinking he had the move on, and he just closed the apex a little too harshly there. A little too close for comfort. And because Mashuli, of course, was trying to keep up with Frydock. Frydock was getting out of the way. Gaia was getting out of the way, I should say. And Mashuli he just tightened the wheel a little bit too much there, I guess. He kind of assumed that Gaia had basically stopped, not just allowed the car to go through. And I think, was that a little bit clumsy from Mashuli, just not being quite aware that Gaia wasn't all the way behind him yet?
Yeah, personally, a bit clumsy, wasn't it? I think that's how that's funny enough how I was going to describe it. It's just a bit clumsy from the both of them, really, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have personally let everyone go where Flo was, but he was letting them go. But Erosh, yeah, I think you're right, he did turn in a bit too harshly, maybe expecting it to be clear, and it wasn't quite, unfortunately. Luckily, no positions lost, but a lot of time lost for Erosh in this fight with Frydock.
So Simoncic unable to make the same move on Harvey a second lap in succession, and now having to cope with the pressure of Kiersmakers. As again, we've got somebody moving out of the way of a faster car. I think that's Panzar getting out of the way now in the 16th position. Russo looking like he's got the final point nailed to the mast at the moment in 15th position, but that spin from Gaia really has caused him all sorts of problems. So this is definitely a very exciting end to this latter part of the stint, because you've got several drivers who are obviously going to be pit lane bound any moment now as well, because we're on lap 43 of 60. And if it's a 3-stop race, which we predict it's going to be, every driver is going to be making their bid for the pit lane within the next 2 to 3 laps, I would think. Maguire out in front. He's on the inset. You're watching the race leader on your inset there to the right-hand side of your screen. And you can see there, look, even Maguire out of turn 4, struggling to get the car back up on acceleration. They don't have any driving aids. They don't have traction control. They don't have ABS. They've really got to utilize their own skill and their own dexterity behind the wheel. So this is all very much on driving skill. And Maguire and Bock have definitely been the absolute class of the field. Maguire, though, still able to maximize a little bit more in Sector 2 and 3 than Bock. Bock is definitely the better driver in Sector 1. I'll be interested to talk about that with Maguire afterwards, because Sector 1, it's fair to say, Adonis have clearly focused where the car could be stronger overall, because Sector 1 is not their sector at all, is it?
No, it is. Like I said, it's all down to the setup. Like I said, Bock's getting about 7 kilometres an hour down the straight, and that's quite a lot of time. So obviously, Bock's gone into this race thinking maybe he has got some overtaking to do, and he's going to have to try and get. And obviously, the best overtaking spot is that long straight. So obviously, that's the way he's gone, and that's the way I tend to go as well when I do my setups. I tend to think about, okay, I'm maybe not going to be the fastest over one lap, but I know that I can get these guys on the straight by overtaking them. So that's what we'd go for. And obviously, he's not had to do much overtaking today, obviously thanks to the turn 1 incident. But yeah. That'll be the thinking behind it, but now I'm expecting to see Maguire in the next 2 laps. He's now on lap 15 of this stint. He did 15 laps last time on the medium combat side, so I expect him in this or the next lap.
So on to the main straight comes the battle for 4th position. Harvey, Simoncic, Kiersmakers, Mus. No change between these 4. They're still absolutely bolted together. And Simoncic can't quite get back onto the toe of Harvey, can he? He's doing his best, but Harvey really did surprise him there. I think Simoncic thought, I've got this guy nailed. He's a novice. He's a new boy. I'm going to intimidate him and I'm going to have this. And Harvey was so solid and so wise. He just kind of went, no, he's bombing it down the inside. He's going to overcook it. I'm going to get a little bit faster on the throttle and I'm going to have him back. It was such a brilliant move to counteract there on Janet Simoncic. We go back with Yannick Bock. Here he is in 2nd place. 8 seconds the deficit. You have to give it to Yannick Bock. He has utilized this car to the best of his ability. He's obviously used the fact that this car is faster in a straight line. He has maximized it. Maguire could have dominated this one by country mile, and you can see Maguire into the pits. So Bock is going to take over the lead, but Maguire could have been over a dozen seconds clear of Yannick Bock. But Bock has been absolutely resolute. He has tried to stay as close to Maguire as physically possible. Over the course of that stint, Bock lost about 0.6 of a second maximum to Maguire. That is astonishing.
Yeah, I mean, they're both champions for a reason, aren't they? Obviously, Bock winning it in 2019, Maguire 2020 are both 2 recent champions. Yeah, they know what they're doing, and yeah, obviously Yannick. I mean, I personally think like higher wings are probably faster over 1 lap, but not always the best way to go in the race. So obviously they've not really had any much competition today, have they? They've always been quite been quite on their own, been quite lonely, really, isn't it, ever since the first round of pit stops. So Adam Maguire comes out. He's now into second place. Obviously, he's got a load of clear track ahead of him. No one even close to him behind him. So he can just now focus on getting a nice clean lap. As I'm expecting Yannick now to come into the pits. If he comes in next lap, I'm expecting him to go on to soft. But if he comes in this time, he'll probably be on the mediums.
Pit lane frenzy, as we've had several other drivers come into the pits. We've had Dimicic, Kiersmakers, Mus, Colin Spork. They've all decided to go into the pits this time. Mashudi on softs about to come in as well at some point. George Whitehouse on softs will come in very soon indeed as well. They're up in 6th and 7th places at the moment. Yannick Bock leading the way. We'll see him as he comes out of the final turn, and he is not pitting. So Yannick Bock is going to throw the dice here. I think he's going to go onto the softs, as you mentioned, Tom. I don't think this race is done yet. Yannick Bock has kept himself within 8 seconds of Maguire over the phase of the pit stops. Maguire did the only thing he could do in that situation. He's pitted and gone onto the mediums because he knows the tyres will go the distance. Now he's setting qualifying lap pace. Look, Sector 2, a 23.3 for Maguire across the line in Sector 3, and he's done a 23.3 again. He is trying to maximise the gap over Yannick Bock. Is a big puff of smoke on the brakes from Thomas Harvey. That's killed the set of tyres, if his stint certainly didn't. But Yannick Bock is desperately trying to stretch these tyres out as fast as he can, not lose a massive amount of time to Maguire. Then he can switch to the softs and make this a showdown to the finish.
Well, someone who has gone on to softs is Thomas Harvey. Medium tyres for Ragusa, soft tyres for Thomas Harvey. Frydock has also gone on to softs, so I'm now expecting to see Yannick Bock, when he does come in, go on to softs. But that gap's going to be too big. It's going to be about a 10-second gap when he comes out behind Adam, no matter what tyre he goes on. So, I mean, he's got to roll the dice to try and do something to win this race, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it unless Adam makes a mistake.
The thing is, the car of Adonis is set up so beautifully for that second and third sector, for those apexes. There's only so much time that the soft tyres can actually give you in that section.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think the Delta, we've got Simoncic going on Harvey. He's going to have to make this move, but he can't make it done. I can't believe Tom Harvey actually got out ahead of Simoncic. I'm surprised Simoncic didn't manage to get the undercut on him, but that's a big move for Harvey to make that, to block him off, basically, because Yannick Bock now comes in. But Harvey had to make that move because now he's on. You can now chase Ragusa. He's on medium tyres, and Harvey knows, obviously, from Super League lights how good these softs are compared to the mediums in the final stint of the race. Kintai got past him on those softs, so he knows that he can use that experience now to try and chase Ragusa down and potentially get a podium, as Yannick does indeed go on to the soft compound tyre.
Okay, so it's on Yannick Bock now. He's got to try and get this gap down. The gap is about 10 seconds, as you say, Tom. So this is it now. Nothing but the best for Yannick Bock. He's got to go purple in every single sector, every single lap from now to the end of this race if he wants to win here in India, the 4th race of the season, the Grand Prix of India in the GPVWC Super League. He's got to make this work, and the only way to do that is to go hell for leather, flat out for the rest of this race. Mashuli and Whitehouse in, so that's the final pit stops up at the front end, done and dusted. It's Maguire leading, Bock second, and Bock is still pushing absolutely rapidly to try and gain the ground. 9.9 seconds is the gap at certain phases. 10.4 though when you get back on acceleration. So the average is just a whisker under 10 seconds. So this is almost certainly a knife edge of a mission for Yannick Bock. As Stefan Ruout is trying to gain some ground around the outside of Whitehouse. Has he got him? Has he got him? He's got to commit to the exit. Whitehouse is going to give him a little bit of space, but not a lot. Ruout is going to have the straight line speed. Stefan Ruout up to 10th position. Well, it's welcome back to the race, but from his point of view, this is not the kind of battle he wanted to have. He wanted to be up there with Maguire and Bock, and now back on the inside, Whitehouse is racing in full position, which he's perfectly entitled to do. Ruout's got to try and keep it to the outside, get back on acceleration, side by side with Whitehouse. One of these guys is going to have to play chicken on the inside, and it's Whitehouse. He has to give best to Ruout.
Yeah, it's interesting because Ruout's actually on the older tyres as well. He's not pitted for a while, and George is just coming for some tyres, for some tyres for his soft, so that's going to be a big blow, actually, to George to try and catch down Mashuli. But yeah, interesting. He's got Colin Spork about 15 seconds, about 14 seconds behind him, maybe about a little bit less than that now. So he's going to have to try and maybe keep an eye backwards rather than forwards. But yeah, unfortunate there. But now, the main race I'm going to be watching now is Mr. Harvey. Can he try and catch Ragusa up in these fast few laps to try and take a podium?
The fastest lap of the race comes again from Colin Spork, a 1:24.1. What could his race have been like had he not got involved in that first lap incident? He could have been fighting for the podium here without any problems at all, as Yannick Bock is trying to maximise the tyres. First sector, 37.2. See, it's not that different, really, compared to what he was doing beforehand. It's the second sector that gives us a real indication as Royal finally does make that pit stop, his last one, and surely he'll go onto the soft tyres to finish the race, which indeed he does. 23.7 for Yannick Bock. That's still 0.3 of a second back from Maguire. You're absolutely right, Tom. Even going softs, it's not going to be enough because the setup of the car in sectors 2 and 3 is so good for the Adonis. Adam Maguire's so comfortable. There's no chance, really, that Yannick Bock's going to be able to get that gap down.
No, Adam's just put a lap on Stefan Brewer. I bet he's absolutely gutted to see that car in front of him, not lapping him rather than full position. But yeah, you're right. Yannick, I mean, yeah, he's faster on that lap. It's only by 4/10.
See the lap time for Fabrizio Gobbi. He's just on a 1:23.7. That's a full second quicker than Maguire. So, astonishing pace. And again, it's just a promise of what might have been for Fabrizio Gobbi.
Yeah, and I'm expecting to see Royal when he gets onto a lap because he's just unlapped himself from Adam Maguire. Obviously having soft tyres, fresh tyres. But yeah, this race, I reckon this would have been a very exciting race on strategy had we not had that first lap incident. I think there's about maybe 6 or 7 people that could have realistically won this race. But well, unfortunately, we'll never know, and Adam Maguire now marching on to potentially a first win of the season.
The big question, I guess, is going to be is what impact this race, with so many big names falling by the wayside, what impact is this going to have for the implications for the championship? Because, of course, this is a race where several drivers were expecting to do well, and it would have been a big catalyst in their championship campaign. But you've now got this dynamic where the points are gone, but you've got to try and pick up your morale. You've got to try and not let this be a setback. That psychological upper hand when you're in the car and you're pushing to the limit, knowing that you've got to get these points, knowing you've got to try and make up this deficit, knowing that this overtake could be the difference between winning and losing. That does so much to a driver's concentration, so much to the resolve. You've just got to try and think, well, it's now or never. And the desperate moves, the instant gratification is going to try and creep in for some of these drivers as they try and find that ultimate skill, that ultimate moment that's going to pick up their season again. So many championships could be changed. So many campaigns could be altered by this one moment of madness on the opening lap.
I mean, yeah, someone like Lindevar, for example, this is his second retirement, isn't it? So,
yeah,
he says he reckons he's out of it already. I mean, I don't think he is, but yeah, he reckons it's. I mean, that's 50 points he's lost potentially there, just through result incidents that weren't completely out of his control, weren't they? Both of them. So,
yeah.
I mean, someone like Adam, yeah, he's lost the race, but he's now bounced back very nicely. Yannick's there or thereabouts now. I think he's now back at that top where he's like challenging for wins, challenging for podiums consistently again. But yeah, I mean, a lot of drivers, someone like Rual, who was looking really good, wasn't he? And even Gobbi to some extent. I mean, Gobbi's now back in the points, but I mean, yeah, those four, top of the top four, only 2 of them are actually doing any well because of the incidents. So this pays to be clean.
I'm going to try to keep an eye on the times between Maguire and Bock. I thought maybe the tide was starting to turn because Maguire was 0.6 of a second off Bock in that first sector, but then you come straight back to the middle sector and the gap is 0.5 seconds again between Maguire and Bock in Maguire's favour. So again, it's just swings and roundabouts between these two with 10 laps to go. The gap has come down. I should point that out for race fans. The gap has come down to 7.4 seconds, but it's not coming down fast enough. That's the key factor. Yannick Bock is pushing like crazy, like a 2019 world champion would. He's doing everything possible in his power. This is where he's going to gain the most time he's going to gain over the lap, because the straight line speed difference between these two cars is unbelievable. And you're going to see a massive gain in terms of the raw speed between them down the straight. Just giving you an idea, Adam Maguire's first sector time as he comes through a 37.6. It would not surprise me at all to see Yannick Bock in the 37 deads like he was on the previous lap. Yeah, 37.02. So another fabulous first sector for Yannick Bock. He's doing everything he can, just chucking the car into every apex, hoping that, against hope, that there's just something coming up the road that's going to hold up Maguire, something that's going to give him the opportunity to get back onto the tail. If he can just get within DRS in those last 2 laps, he has a chance, he has a crack, and we know that Yannick Bock is not a man to trifle with in a duel for position, but then neither is Adam Maguire. The 2 implacable rivals of the last 2 seasons of GPVWC Super League are once again going at this hammer and tongs.
Absolutely, I think Yannick's actually cut the track on that last lap because his middle sector front hasn't come through, so
that's a good point.
Yeah. So Yannick's actually pushing very, very hard to try and make up that time. But let's see how far he's. So he has actually gained 6 tenths on that lap. Obviously, being illegal, that's not great. But yeah, he has gained time on that lap, so he's pushing very, very hard. Adam lost a lot of time when Stefan Ruan lapped himself. Lost about a second and a half in the first sector, so don't know if that's going to affect him a bit mentally, maybe. But yeah, I mean, the gap is coming down. He's going to run out of time. But yeah, if he can get in DRS with him, it's game over, isn't it? Because Adam can't. Adam's got no top speed compared to him, so if he can get within DRS and get close enough, yeah, it'll be a big ask for him to keep him behind. But will he get there in time? As Adam now sets his personal best sector 1.
I just don't think there's enough time. He's gaining. He's definitely getting that gap down. But we've got 9 laps to go. The gap is down to 6.7 at the split. So close, isn't it? It's tough to tell. But Yannick Bock never gives up. He never gives in. He's just going to keep chucking everything at it in the hope that it's going to come to him. Now, Thomas Harvey, still he soaks up the pressure. Ragusa's long gone up in the road in front. But Ragusa's times are going to start to drop. As Thomas Harvey obviously really bites into the road. First split for Ragusa, 37.4. Tom Harvey, 37.5. But let's not forget that Harvey has gone onto the soft, so he's also got to try and make these tyres last a little longer than Ragusa does on the mediums. So this is a big gamble for Harvey, but he wants to keep raw pace in front of Simoncic and Kiersmakers. If Ragusa suddenly starts to fall off in pace, then he's got a hope of getting back into that third position. And there's not a huge gap between them, only 4.5 seconds roughly between Ragusa and Harvey. So he does still have a crack at the podium, but Harvey is thinking aggressively in terms of this battle for position. Maguire leading Bock. The gap has come down now to 6.3. So Maguire is doing his best to stretch away from Bock, but Bock is now utilising and maximising the pace of these tyres. It's now starting to come to him. A 1:24.392 for Maguire on the last lap. A 1:24.0 for Yannick Bock. That's a quarter of a second plus taken out of the lead. He needs to keep doing that, but he needs even more time than that. He's taken another 6/10 out in the first split. Yannick Bock is on mission control damage mode.
He is, but Adam just looks so good in that middle sector. He's making it look easy, and I know how hard that sector can be. So he's just making it look nice and smooth in that middle sector, which is exactly what you need to be. Just looking calm, collected, nice and quick. He had a bit of a slow sector 1 that time, even by his standards. But yeah, I mean, yeah, but then they go, look at that, 2/10 gained back on Yannick. So yeah, Yannick's gaining 3 or 4 tenths a lap, but he still need another 10 laps of this race to even think about doing it.
It was a brilliant gamble from Yannick Bock, and it was the only way to give us a little bit of a spice between these two in the final stages of the lap. Maguire's across the line in 23.4 for the third and final split. Yannick Bock, the same time pretty much. So again, he gains another 4 tenths. It's not a lot to gain per lap. He needs to be gaining a second per lap to really get into the DRS zone on lap 59, and that's when he needs to do it. He needs to do it on lap 59. He needs to overtake him on the penultimate lap, not the final lap. Because on the final lap, Maguire can really position himself in a good place, whereas Bock can catch Maguire out by surprise with an additional lap in it. Maguire won't want to cook the tyres too badly, but he can defend more aggressively going into the final lap. On the penultimate lap, he can't defend too much because he needs to keep those tyres alive for that additional lap, because they're both pushing ridiculously quickly, and Maguire's tyres will not go off the cliff before Bock's will, but when it goes, it will be so dramatic for Maguire. So he's really got to keep it on the ragged edge and be as smooth as possible, but as fast as possible. And just look at him in this second split.
Kiersmakers, I thought was going to make a move on Simoncic. Sorry to cut you off there, but boy did that get close. Simoncic went to defend at the last moment, and I think Kiersmakers backed out. But Frydock's now joined in on this battle as well, right behind Moose on those soft tyres. It's getting a bit tasty now for 4th place, all the way down to 8th place this train now. 5-car train. I don't really know who's going to finish 4th out of all of this.
Certainly a very good point, and Frydock could be the one at the back of the queue to actually pick up the pieces. He's on softs, don't forget, as is Thomas Harvey at the front of the queue, and Frydock was one of the last to pit. So Frydock has actually got a fairly fresh set of boots, and he's actually the fastest driver of all of them in current lap time pace. He's in the 1:24.8s, whereas everyone else can't even get below 1:25. So Frydock is actually the fastest man on track of these 5 drivers. So he could pick up 2, maybe even 3 places if the cards fall in the right direction. He's going to have DRS this lap as well, and a fresh set of softs. So Frydock has the chance to pick up several pieces from this race as he goes into the final couple of laps of the race. Lap 55, 6 to go. The gap between Maguire and Bock is down to 5.6. Another 0.6 of a second gained on Maguire in the first split, but Maguire will gain some of that back in sector 2. It's all going to come down to just how much pressure Bock can push on Maguire. Mcgorgey can't afford a single mistake. If he makes one mistake, then he's going to be cannon fodder for Yannick Bock, who is absolutely on it at the moment. Here comes Frydock. Is he going to get a last-minute lunge on Mercy? Has a think about it. Doesn't want to risk it. He's still got plenty of places he can make up. There's 4 cars in front of him, and he is the fastest driver out there, and he will know that. Is there going to be a chance into the left? No, he's not going to take that big a gamble. Frydock is a wise old cookie. He's not going to gamble when he doesn't need to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's got. I think because Moose has got the DRS from Keersmakers, I don't think he can get close enough. I think it's just a bit of a DRS train again, and I don't think Frydock has got. He's got good top speed. I mean, it's 330 in the straight, but it's just not enough to make a move. And in fact, actually, Keersmakers managed to push on a little bit. Well, not Keersmakers. Moose has managed to push on to Keersmakers a little bit, and is actually starting to pressure him a little bit more. But Keersmakers obviously on the back of Simonchich, but Harvey is loving this. He's just letting them all do what they want to do. Have a fight over what they're doing. He can just drive along with those softs. They're not going to start running out until the last 2 or 3 laps of this race. So he's looking really good. In fact, Goose sets a very good time now, 24/7. But yeah, Harvey's just loving life here in 4th place, just letting them all do their own thing.
Yeah, Ragusa's in no man's land, looking set for a very solid first podium in Super League, which is excellent news for him and for the GSR by VBM squad. Ragusa has been getting stronger and stronger every race. There he is in 3rd position. It's the most boring race in history as far as Ragusa's concerned, but he likes it boring. He doesn't have any pressure for that 3rd and final spot on the podium as Mcgorgey and Bock get closer and closer to each other. Another 6/10. Bock takes out of Mcgorgey in the first sector. Again, Mcgorgey gets 2 of those back in the second split. It's a stalemate between these two over the course of the final few laps of the race. And interestingly, Bock is going to have Flo Gaia, I think that is in front of him, who's obviously had damage, but he's now being lapped for the 2nd time in 17th position. So Flo Gaia is going to need to get out of the way fairly quickly. Didn't cause enough of an issue for Mcgorgey for Bock to have a ray of hope. There is Mcgorgey going up into turn 3. He has got a slower car in front of him, though. I think that's Stefan Rualt in 14th position. So I say slower car. It's probably not quite true because Rualt is lapping on the 125.5s. In fact, he's actually going quicker than Mcgorgey is for being the car in front. I don't think he wants to be lapped by Mcgorgey. So that could cause a little bit of a headache later. For the moment, though, Yannick Bock, he just needs to... Well, that's exactly what Flo Guy should have done. Well done to Flo. Of course, the onus is always on the guy behind to do the overtake on the back marker, but Flo Guy took that option off the table and just let him have it. He obviously wants a showdown finish as much as we do. And that's a 36.9 from Yannick Bock, that first sector. That just shows you, just being in the slipstream of another car, it just gives you that little bit more momentum. And that's the fastest first sector we've seen in the entire race.
Not just that, but I think he can now see... Oh, no, that's another lapped car. I think I thought he could see Adam up the road, but it's actually another lapped car. But yeah, he is looking pretty quick at the moment, isn't he? He's definitely the fastest man on track, is Yannick, in terms of these...
He's matched Mcgorgey. He's matched Mcgorgey in the second sector. That's where he was losing time to him. So now Bock is really starting to unlock it. But the problem is, that's still 4.5 seconds. Surely he can't gain that in the last 3 laps. Surely.
Be impressed. That'd be damn good if he could. So, I mean, he's going to cross the line now. So 23.6 from Adam in the final sector. And it's going to be a 23, can't look below 23.5. He's getting 6 attempts again, but still not enough. He might get a little tasty bit of DRS in, not quite, but he's going to get another slipstream from this car in front. So
I think he's going to have him by turn 4. I think he could have him by turn 4 because the straight line speed difference between them is going to be absolutely gargantuan. He might have him into 5, if not 4. It all depends on what the back marker in front does. It's one of the GSRs. That is... no, sorry, it's not one of the GSRs. Well, technically it is. It's Federico Russo. The Green Stripes Racing is what I meant. They have the same acronym. He isn't quite able to get close enough, but the gap does come down to below 4 seconds, so that's crucial. A 37.5 for Mcgorgey, a 37.1 for Bock. So they're still very, very close indeed in terms of 1 sector pace, but Bock needs to get this Green Stripes Racing car out of the way quickly. Otherwise, it is game over for the victory, and he knows it.
Yeah, I mean, 4 seconds. I mean, yeah, okay, technically he's 3.9 behind now,
It's
but
not
it's
going to
just...
happen, is it? It's
I
not
don't
going
think
to happen.
Adam will have to make a mistake, and I don't see Adam making a mistake at this point.
It's been a valiant fight for Yannick Bock. Going soft was the only course of action open to him if he wanted to win the race.
Oh, Frydock's through on Moose! I saw him sideways and was like, what's going on? But yeah, it looks like the move has been made.
Well, that is very audacious from David Frydock in the closing stages of racing, and an excellent opportunity. Maybe we can get a look at how Frydock got the job done. It looked like it was one of those last-second manoeuvres for Frydock to get one over on Matthias Mus, and that's another place made up, another point gained, of course, as well for David Frydock. So a very important one, especially for him and the Epic team. So they are able to salvage something strong from the latter stages of this race. 2 laps to go, of course. And Yannick Bock still trying to catch Maguire. Here's the replay. And down the back straight. Obviously looking perfectly clean and tidy. And Frydock, solid and smooth. Late braking. Good positioning. Chops across on the back of the car. It tries to slide across the apex on the exit of the apron. But very nicely handled there from David Frydock as he claims the place. Last lap begins next time around. But I don't think there's going to be enough time for Yannick Bock to snatch this one from our 4th different winner of the season.
No, I mean, yeah, unless Adam has an absolute nightmare in the final sector or final lap, I don't think there's going to be any issues. He's got clear track ahead of him now until the finish. Stefan Moreau is about 5 seconds up the road, looking pretty handy for 14th. But yeah, he's just done what he needs to do to control it. It's been a race of control, isn't it? Ever since that first pit stop, when Yannick was about 2 seconds behind, it's just been a controlled race. Nice and easy, and he's about to start his final lap, of which he will probably savour very nicely.
Is Mashuli on the course for another point here? Because he's getting close to Matthias Mus, who's also, of course, on the mediums. Mashuli is on the soft, so there could be a last lap change between those two as they duel away over 8th place. Mashuli might just be able to salvage something more from the Ghost Speed ADG in the closing stages. And fair play to Green Stripes Racing. They're in 15th place, ahead of Panzer and ahead of Gaia. That's a very crucial point for Green Stripes Racing in a very competitive field. They will be very proud of that. They're not a team that is likely to be scoring as many points as some of their other teams around them, so it's a crucial one. Oh, Mashuli nearly loses the car altogether through the penultimate corner. That was a massive tank slapper. He just about catches it before he loses time or even indeed track position. He's still right on the back of Matthias Mus, as on the inset, Maguire is just taking it nice and easy. I say nice and easy, he's still flat on the throttle, but for Maguire, that is nice and easy. In fact, he actually gained on Yannick Bock there on the last lap, 0.4 of a second faster. I think the opportunity is well and truly gone as the battle comes to a conclusion. And it's all going to be rosy for the man on the inset, Adam Maguire. Textbook drive today into the final couple of corners of the race, and Adam Maguire is going to become our 4th different race winner of the 2021 season in Super League in the Grand Prix Virtual World Championship here at Buddh in India. Out of the final turn, Adam Maguire takes the victory, the lead of the championship, and he is back.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, what a race. He's just done everything he needs to do. Yannick Bock, valiant effort to get down to 3.8 seconds by the end, but not quite enough laps to get it done, but very, very good drive from him nonetheless. And now we wait for Ragusa to make his first ever podium in Super League. Very, very good stuff.
Yeah, very mature drive indeed from Giuseppe Ragusa. He can be very proud of what he's achieved today. The Italian out of the final turn and across the line, Giuseppe Ragusa will complete the podium and get his first place on the rostrum in Super League. Excellent job. Behind him, Thomas Harvey is going to hang on for a brilliant 4th position. What a sensational drive from young Tom Harvey to hang on with. Let's just run down the list of drivers he kept behind him. Simoncic, Kiersmakers, Frydock, Mashuli. That's an absolutely terrific run from Tom Harvey. 4th position on his Super League debut. Well done, mate.
It is, and Eris Mashuli managed to get past Moose at the end there as well. So Moose now drops down to 9th in the last couple of laps. Not a bad effort from him still, but yeah, we were disappointed to do those last two places. But yeah, Thomas Harvey, very mature drive for such a young driver. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be seeing more of him in the future.
Well, Adam Maguire becomes the 4th different winner of the season. He may have missed the Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park 6 weeks ago, but he is right back into the hunt for the championship. 2 wins, and now 2 seconds, I should say, and now the victory in front of Yannick Bock. Giuseppe Ragusa in 3rd place, Thomas Harvey in 4th from Jonic Simoncic and Lauren Kiersmakers. Then David Frydock in a brilliant 7th, which he stole from Eris Mashuli, who in turn stole that from Matthias Mus. George Whitehouse in the top 10 in the Mayor Down, and a very convincing performance indeed from him. Colin Spork managing to fight his way back to 11th position in the end in front of Dan Stepkowski. Fabrizio Gobbi fights to 13th, Rualt returns to 14th, and Federico Russo steals the final point for Green Stripes Racing. The only other 2 finishers, Robin Panzer and Florian Gaia. Engine blow for Owen Mcgorgey. Problems for Leon Bock related to the damage on the first lap. Giuseppe Lino giving up the ghost as well with problems with his car. And then the drivers who got the damage from the first lap. Michael Francesconi binning it on turn 1. Germano Zappala, Liam Duval, Jeffrey Fournier, Maciej Mlinek, Thomas Vac, and Giuseppe Saracino, all victims of the opening lap melee. But Adam Maguire celebrating in style after a fabulous win here in India, and he can celebrate in true fashion because that was a race he really had to sit up and pay attention to get the victory. He dominated in the end, but only with the most intense pressure possible from Yannick Bock. So we're going to see a final replay before we go to our interviews, and this is Eros Mashuli's final lap run on Matthias Muss down the back straight. Muss sending him to the left, so this is going to need a little bit of skill and determination from Eros Mashuli. Brakes late. Muss protects the inside line. Mashuli keeps it around the outside. A tiny bit of wheel rubbing, and that's absolutely fine from Eros Mashuli. Beautiful manoeuvre.
Needs to get some place, and yeah, very happy. But yeah, we managed to get Yannick Bock in here. Will be our first interview, second place man.
So let's bring him in. An absolutely sensational run in the final reckoning. Oh, he seems to have disappeared for a moment. I think he just wants to grab a quick water. So we can reflect on a brilliant duel for victory. Absolutely stunning between those two. Two drivers at the top of their craft, really on excellent form as always. But it just goes to show that these guys have absolutely nothing left on the table. Here's Adam Maguire. He has joined us in the interview room. Adam, brilliant performance. Fourth race of the season, your third entry of the season, and you become the fourth different winner. But the circumstances around you means you take a strong lead now. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. It was, I would say I'm going to say it's a tough race just because it's India, but yeah, I feel really good. I don't really know what happened in turn 1 with Stefan, so I need to look that back. But I don't know whose fault this was. These circumstances caused a big crash, so I really feel sorry for anyone that was involved in that. So it's not really the way I really wanted to win, I guess.
So would you say that there is a little bit of an issue to discuss with that one, or is that just the way it worked out at turn 1 from your point of view?
I'm not sure. I thought I was clear, but when I turned in, I obviously hit Stefan, but I need to look it back.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just it's a real tricky one, I think.
Okay, well, obviously you had to try and keep that to the back of your mind for the remainder of the race. Let's talk about the fight with Yannick. Obviously, it was so tight between you. It was clear that the car was not set up for straight line speed because in the first sector, you were absolutely decimated in terms of time from Yannick. But it's that second and third sectors where the car must have felt bolted to the road. You guys clearly focused on those fast sectors towards the end of the lap where the car needed a good rhythm.
Yeah, well, like usual, I think our setup is kind of lacking a bit on overall mechanical grip, so I guess we're usually a bit more higher on wings. It was quicker in qualifying, so it's best to have track position at first, but you don't really want to be in turn 1 in front on low wings with someone behind you with 10 kph more top speed. So yeah, but I was able to clear Yannick, and once he wasn't able to get DRS, I think it was quite straightforward. It's just something I haven't really been able to do in the last 2 races.
Very good indeed. Tom, have you got any questions for Adam before we move on?
Oh no, I was going to say about a setup, and no, obviously, yeah, free stop all the way, medium tyres all the way. Yeah, good race, very well done. Obviously, now you're going to be focusing on the retaining your championship, I'm guessing, then.
Yes, that's always the focus. Unfortunately, missed round 1, but it's looking pretty good.
Good stuff. Well done.
Terrific job. Adam Maguire, your race winner in India. 4th different winner of the season and back in the lead of the championship. Great job, buddy.
Thank you.
And based on who else is waiting around, I think that might be all she wrote, in all honesty, because I think everybody else is having an inter-team debrief after a very tough race. There's not a lot of happy faces after that one because of so many drivers getting caught out on the first lap. But what it gives us, Tom, is a very interesting dynamic. As we head to Baku, a lot of drivers will be wanting to put right a few wrongs in that race.
Yeah, Liam Duval, Stefan Moran, the two main protagonists who will for Gobby as well. He was looking really, really good until obviously that incident at the start. So yeah, obviously happy for Adam and Yannick. They did some great racing today. But yeah, lots of teams will have a lot to say about that race, and obviously Baku in 2 weeks. It's always a fun one. So yeah, lots of focus on that one for the next 2 weeks, and fingers crossed we'll see an exciting race again in 2 weeks' time.
It's Baku. I doubt it's going to be dull. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. So, thanks to you.
Well done.
Yes, indeed. My thanks to you, Tom Parker. A fabulous night in the commentary box again with you. And a huge thanks as well to Argo Teder, our broadcast director, over the course of the racing. 4 different winners from 4 races. Deval, Bock, Rualt, and now Adam Maguire. Will there be a 5th in Baku, or is this now the catalyst for a strong title attack? Certainly the rivalry between Bock and Maguire has definitely not abated, but for several drivers, it's game on or game over. I'm Jake Sanson. See you in 2 weeks for Baku in Azerbaijan.